Last night, championship play began. The Cleveland Indians came in ready to roll, but it was Baltimore's turn to rock. And with the Indians' very first offering, Brady Anderson drove deep into the warm autumn night.
It's been a good 5 minutes for Brady Anderson.
While Oriole right-hander Scott Erickson and Cleveland's Game 1 hopes sinking.
Erickson continues to bowl right through Cleveland.
And Randy seized the moment.
Game 1 goes to the Baltimore Orioles.
Tonight, the series continues. Can Cleveland come back like they've done before, or will the O's Jimmy Key shut that door? Game 2 of the American League Championship Series is next on Fox. The American League Championship Series pregame show on Fox is brought to you by Ameritrade, the smartest way to trade, period. Here's Chip Carey.
It's a warm, muggy night for baseball as we welcome you inside beautiful Camden Yards for Game 2 of the American League Championship Series between the Cleveland Indians and the Baltimore Orioles. The city of Baltimore is pumped, and O's fans have flocked to the Bird's Nest early for the great atmosphere on Utah Street. The Ribs are smoking, and so are the Orioles. They lead the best-of-7 series 1-0, so strike up the band and welcome inside for Fox Sports coverage of Game 2 of the ALCS. Yes, indeed, the brothers Alomar battle again. One of them will advance to the World Series. Hello again, everybody. I'm Chip Carey along with Steve Psycho Lyons. Welcome to Game 2 of the ALCS. Scott Erickson was masterful last night, and all that talk about Cleveland momentum was swiftly taken away by a man named Brady.
I'll tell you what, he was a momentum killer with both the leather and the bat. Right in the first inning, off the bat of Manny Ramirez, he jumps over the wall and takes a home run away. And then in his very first at-bat, the first pitch he ever saw, he drills it out of the yard. 1-0 Orioles and momentum Orioles.
That certainly was a big story yesterday, but even bigger news today from the National League Championship Series. The Florida Marlins have lost right-handed pitcher and 17-game winner Alex Fernandez to a torn rotator cuff, suffered sometime either during or after that game against the Braves in Atlanta. He is lost for the rest of this postseason, perhaps even all of next season for the Florida Marlins. Al Leiter or Livan Hernandez expected to take his spot in the rotation. Also, Moises Alou still day-to-day with his nagging wrist injuries. Meanwhile, tonight's starting pitchers for Game 2, Charles Nagy and Jimmy Key will oppose each other. And boy, oh boy, Charles Nagy, Steve, a funny guy to try to figure out. Last year, a Cy Young Award candidate. The fans in Cleveland this year really sighing over his poor performances.
Well, he's just really had a lot of trouble throwing strikes, especially against the Orioles. He leads the Indian staff in walking Oriole hitters with 9. He's got to be able to establish that fastball so he can get to the split finger pitch, but he hasn't been able to do that. Hence, he hasn't been getting guys out. Here in the divisional series against the Yankees in the 3rd inning, he walks Derek Jeter. Again in the 4th, he walks Jeter again to load the bases. That got him out of the game. Now, same situation for Jimmy Key. He has to establish on the outside part of the plate with his soft stuff, the sinker that goes away, and the changeup. Now, if he doesn't do that, like the great pitching performances that we saw last night, they kept the ball down in the zone. If they get up in the zone tonight, the ball loves to fly out of this ballpark. We might see balls in Boog's Barbecue.
Yeah, even you could hit home run in this ballpark here in Baltimore. But funny thing about Jimmy Key, they say fatigue might be a big problem. He's pitched 48 innings more this season than he did all of last season, but his real problems have come here at home. He's lost 9 of his last 10 decisions and hasn't won but 1 game here since the 7th of May. And we asked Jimmy Key, what's up with that?
That's a funny thing with pitching. You know, a lot of the stuff is out of your hands on the day you pitch, and you know, you try to do your best every time you go out, and it's just a coincidence that it's happened here for a good 8 or 10 starts here at home, and didn't get wins. But again, a lot of those games I pitched well in.
So in the words of my good buddy Lou Piniella, numbers are numbers.
That's exactly right. I mean, this guy, you never know when you're going to feel good out there on the mound, and it's just coincidence that he has been pitching poorly at home. I don't think it's going to be any indication of the way he'll throw the ball tonight, whether he's home or on the road.
Well, Jimmy Key hopes to feel good. Brady Anderson certainly has to feel good, Steve. What's he doing jumping on a first-pitch curveball last night?
Well, you know, I think he was looking fastball, but at the same time, he was very aggressive, and he got out over the plate. Look at the great plate coverage that he has here. You can see the bat out over the plate. You can draw a line there. Great plate coverage, and all he does is go out and hook this ball into right field for a home run. Now, The Indians tried to change up on him and go away from him. Look at the great balance. You see he doesn't, with his hips, he goes right towards the plate. He doesn't bail out of there. And once again, the same plate coverage. You can drill that ball down the line. That's exactly what he did. Brady Anderson as a leadoff guy, when he goes out of the ballpark and hits doubles, when he's standing on base all night long, it makes it awfully difficult for the opponent.
And the Indians are saying, hey, every time we play you guys in a game one, Brady Anderson's knocking home runs. Let's see if his fortunes change in game two. Cal Ripken, you know all about his back problems. Everybody said in Baltimore, hey, he's got to sit down. He's got to stop the streak. He's only hitting .412. He's got a bad back. I wish I had one.
Yeah, you know, nobody knows this guy's body better than he does. And the thing was with him is that he said, you know, nobody worried about my back until I started to slump. Now, I've had this problem since the middle of July, and it's not back spasms, it's a disc problem. So he has a decision to make at the end of the year whether or not he might get cut on or how he's going to handle it. But as you can tell from that swing right there, he's feeling fine. Great defense last night with this double play ball. So this is a guy who knows how to handle himself, and he's an excellent player in that lineup. They're going to need him.
For the Indians, Jim Thome out of the lineup, Kevin Seitzer in. Why's that?
Well, you know, I like Seitzer in the lineup. Here's a guy who goes the other way better maybe than anybody on that Indians ball club, so you get him in there. But for Thome, you got to have him in the lineup. The guy hits 40 home runs. I get him in there somewhere. I don't care if he's 0 for 19 in this ballpark.
And Marquise Grissom still struggling with the flu, still sore after slamming into the wall. And for the Orioles, expect a big roar for Eric Davis. He's in the starting lineup tonight, taking his chemotherapy treatment tonight after the ball game to get ready for the next 3 games at Jacobs Field in Cleveland. All right, the stage is set for Game 2 of the ALCS. Time now to send it across to Joe Buck, Tim McCarver, and Bob Brenly for tonight's call. Hello, guys.
Hello, Chip. Hello, Steve, and welcome to the broadcast booth. As we get ready for Game 2, you look back at last night, great pitching matchup, really on each side. Everybody talking about Erickson. Tonight, a matchup of 2 guys that have really struggled since the All-Star break.
2 guys with similar seasons. Jimmy Key, 16-10 on the year, and Charles Nagy, 15-11. 2 guys with similar second halves. Look at the second half for Charles Nagy, 6-7, a high ERA. The same for Jimmy Key, who was 8-8. I'll tell you the guy who may come into play tonight, home plate umpire Jim Joyce, because if he's liberal with the outside part of the plate, it's going to be a long, long night for hitters because both pitchers have to pitch away to be successful.
Well, successful last night was Scott Erickson. He shut down the Cleveland Indians. And Bob Brenly, let's be honest, if the Indians are going to do something against this very good Baltimore pitching, the middle of their lineup has got to get going.
You may remember in the open last night we talked about the importance of the Indians' running game getting going. Scott Erickson did not allow that to happen, but the big boys in the middle really need to crank it up, especially Manny Ramirez. This is a great matchup for him tonight. He's had success against Jimmy Key in the past. He's an opposite field hitter. Jimmy Key's going to work that outside corner. Lean out there, get that ball, drive it to the opposite field. We talked to Mike Hargrove. He said they're going to encourage all their right-handed hitters to crowd the plate, take that outside corner away from Jimmy Key. We'll see if they do that during the game tonight.
Tonight, the Cleveland Indians try to even this series at a game apiece before this series heads back to Cleveland, Ohio. We get ready for pitch 1 of game number 2. Glad you're with us. The starting lineups in the first pitch coming up after this from your local Fox station.
The American League Championship Series pregame show on Fox has been brought to you by Ameritrade.
From high above Oriole Park at Camden Yards, Jimmy Key goes to work. He is no stranger to the postseason. We'll give you a look at the Indians lineup. The lineup he will face here tonight. They lead it off with Viv Robertson left field, Omar Vizquel batting second and short. Manny Ramirez is hitting third and right. Matt Williams cleaning up at third. David Justice is the DH. Sandy Alomar catching. Tony Fernandez likes to hammer left-handed pitching. He is in the lineup against Jimmy Key tonight with Kevin Seitzer at first. Marquise Grissom in center field, batting in the 9 position. And a look at the Baltimore defense. Cal Ripken, 6 assists last night, tying an ALCS record for third baseman in a 9-inning game. And the rest of the defense around Ripken, you get a look at it. These guys playing behind left-hander Jimmy Key.
Jimmy Key, very, very important to master the outside part of the plate to right-handed batters tonight. He will come in occasionally. And Davey Johnson telling us that if his changeup, if he can throw his changeup over early in the ball game, early in the count, he's going to have a successful game. But prior to tonight, he has had a difficult time with his off-speed stuff.
Going to look at the scouting report for Jimmy Key. Sinking fastball down and away to the right-handers. We talked about that. Big curveball, very good changeup, an occasional cutter he'll try to run in on the right-handed hitters. Good pickoff move, good fielder, and he must establish low in the strike zone. You get the ball up in this ballpark, especially if you're working that outside corner against this Indians right-handed heavy lineup, he could be in a lot of trouble.
Viv Roberts will lead it off, hitting over 300 in this postseason. With Vizquel and Ramirez to follow here in Game 2, Indians down a game. And a strike from Jimmy Key. We remind you this broadcast is also available in Spanish by utilizing the SAP button on your television. The 0-1 to Viv Roberts. Strike 2. Right-hander Charles Nagy. He will be on the mound tonight for the Indians. Home plate umpire tonight, as Tim told you, Jim Joyce, with John Hirschbeck at first. Wood Merrill at second, Larry McCoy at third, Mike Riley down the line in left, Joe Brinkman down the line in right. One away.
That part of the plate strike. One more toward the corner, and watch this fastball tailing away to Bip Roberts. May have been a little outside. You can see Roberts stepping across and looking at it. That ball was right there.
Roberts looking for consolation over on the bench as Vizquel digs in and takes a strike.
All fastballs so far from Jimmy Key. When you're hitting those kind of locations, there's no reason to go to anything else. He's going to try to cut one inside here.
And Vizquel lets it hit him, so Omar will trot down to first, and the Indians with a first-inning base runner.
I think you call that properly, too, Joe. Let it hit him because he did not appear to get out of the way of the ball. Of course, that ball, when it's right there at that part, right at the left shoulder, the lead shoulder, it has a tendency to freeze the hitter.
So Vizquel on at first with one out here in the first for Manny Ramirez, who has not had a good postseason, hitting only $125. 2 for 5 in Game 1 of the division series with the Yankees, 1 for 19 since.
Bob, I think your point about Manny Ramirez was well taken. If Jimmy Key pitches Ramirez the same way he pitches Bip Roberts, Ramirez is going to get him and hit it hard.
Pitch out from Chris Hoyles right there. You can see Vizquel dancing around at first base, and Rafael Palmeiro with that very unusual style of holding runners. He many times will come up in front of first base. He'll come off the bag with the runner. And you see him wandering off there along with the runner. Jimmy Key with a very good pickoff move.
Keeping it away and a count 2-0.
Well, in a way, he can use that positioning to decoy the runner. When Jimmy Key brings that right leg up in the air, Palmeiro was breaking back towards first base and actually froze Vizquel on that pitch.
He actually assists Jimmy Key in his pickoff move.
And a check on Vizquel, who stole a career-high 43 bases during the regular season.
You're the base runner at first base. You not only have to look at Jimmy Key, you have to look at the first baseman, too.
Jimmy Key's got a variety of moves to first base. He's a very crafty pitcher out there, and he knows the value of that pickoff move, not only to pick guys off, but to hold runners close.
3-0 the count on Manny Ramirez, and Jimmy Key is working his way into first-inning trouble.
Well, this is Jimmy Key's normal delivery to home plate. You can see he hangs that leg up in the air, tries to freeze the runner at first base. He will step towards first on one pickoff move very deliberately, very slowly, and then another time he will come down very quickly with that front leg and snap a throw over to first base.
3-0 the count on Ramirez, taking 3-1. On deck, the cleanup hitter, Matt Williams.
Dangerous situation right here. 3-1. Probably will come in with a fastball. Location very, very important right here. We talked about this before. I don't think this is a running situation. I think a guy who's as good a hitter as Manny Ramirez should be allowed to choose a pitch instead of having the extra distraction of watching the runner out of the corner of his eye.
3 balls and a strike on Manny Ramirez. Into center field, well hit. Brady Anderson at the track at the wall. He won't get this one. Manny Ramirez, a 2-run first inning home run. And the Indians jump out in front here in game 2.
Ramirez hit the ball to right center field last night in the first inning. That Brady Anderson climbed the wall, made the great catch, saving a home run, but not even Brady Anderson can climb up that high. That ball was a towering drive to center field.
And Omar Vizquel was not running. Ramirez had a chance to choose his pitch, and did he ever choose it properly?
Fastball out over the plate, allowed him to extend his arms. That's his strength, is going from center field around to the right field corner. When he tries to pull the ball, he's going to get in trouble.
His first postseason home run this postseason here in 1997. 6.
Come on, man.
And it gives the Indians a 2-0 first inning lead here in game 2.
And Bob, you said it in the opening. You said a guy like Ramirez has to step up, and Jimmy Key's the right guy to step up against.
You know, they call it getting well. When you're not hitting well, your bat is sick, and you're looking for somebody to get well against.
1 ball, 1 strike on Matt Williams. He wouldn't mind a little medicine either. Only 5 out of 20 in the postseason.
Doctor.
That's strike 2 on Matt Williams.
Yeah, Williams is another right-handed hitter who has tremendous power to the opposite field when he's swinging right. Like a lot of big, strong hitters, he has a tendency to want to pull the ball too much, but when he's going right and hitting the ball to the opposite field, he can hit with power to center and right center.
One out, nobody on here in the first inning. Indians lead by 2. And a 2-2 count on Matt Williams.
You see a defensive chart in the Baltimore dugout. What they want to do defensively, depending on the count and the hitter.
They can't defend that either. Matt Williams, a base hit to left field. A hit batsman, a home run, now a single, and Jimmy Key has had a rough first inning.
You see the ST, that means straight away. For instance, for a guy like Sandy Alomar, they will be playing him straight away, and a pitcher tries to pitch to the defense. Obviously, your defense and your pitchers have a pretty good idea about what that chart means, how to pitch, how to defend.
And the SLOPP would probably mean a slightly the opposite way or slightly to pull for
right.
PULL, obviously. Maybe later in the count they will adjust accordingly depending on what pitch is going to be thrown.
Now David Justice 1 on, 1 out here in the first inning. Indians looking for a big first inning in support of Charles Nagy, who will be on the mound in the bottom of this first.
Now, all that information is entered into a very expensive computer, and then a coach stands up on the top step with a towel.
Williams running, got a great jump and steals second. He stole 12 during the regular season. That's his first in this postseason.
Prior to this season, his high for steals was 7. So Matt's not only getting stronger, he's getting quicker. He had to read something off Jimmy Key then. Key lifting up that right leg. Matt Williams took off. He went to the plate, and Williams has his first postseason stolen base.
Now it's second with one out, and Justice is drilled on the front hip. Second hit batsman of this first inning for Jimmy Key.
Well, he was trying to sink a fastball inside to David Justice and got it way in there, clipped him on that right thigh. Ouch. Well, we can laugh about it because we're sitting up here, but that does not feel good. Fortunately, it hit him in a very fleshy part of the body, that thigh. That'll leave a nice bruise.
Second hit batsman and the first 5 hitters. Very uncharacteristic of Jimmy Key.
He hit 5 during 1997. And now with 2 on, 1 out, here's Sandy Alomar. And there's a strike over the outside corner.
Alomar, another right-handed hitter that we know has power to the opposite field. We saw him take Mariano Rivera deep in the division series to straightaway right field on a fastball out over the plate.
Williams and Justice aboard. And over the inside corner on Alomar, 0-2.
You can see Brady Anderson right there, the center fielder. When he shades off one of the shoulders of the pitcher, is actually playing straight away. The reason that they don't play totally straight away is they want to see where the catcher sets up to give themselves an extra jump.
0-2 to Alomar. The opposite way, tough play for the other Alomar. And the short hop picked up by Palmeiro, 2 gone. Sandy to Roberto, and a terrific play by Roberto to his left. 2 out.
Watching this Baltimore team make great defensive plays is nothing new. Roberto Alomar raging far to his left. That's no way to treat a brother. Come on.
That's the play they used to have in the front yard of their house down in Puerto Rico.
Nice pickup by Rafael Palmeiro at first base at the end of that play.
The runners did move up to second and third. They're there with 2 out here in the first inning, as Tony Fernandez digs his way into the batter's box. Hit 11 home runs during the regular season. Does have 4 RBIs in this postseason, but just 2 out of 11. Looking for that key 2-out RBI hit. Strike 1.
With a lot of fastballs in this first inning. I really thought that they would go more to breaking balls and change-ups, especially through the middle of the Cleveland order.
Well, again, the speed of Omar Vizquel affects teams in different ways. The pitch out and then the change-up. He is in the hole to Ramirez. It's 2-0. Then he misses with the 2-0 pitch. And on the 3-1 pitch came the home run.
That's a ball. Outside, 2-1.
Very difficult for a team to combat the stolen base with a power hitter at the plate. Fall behind him, run the risk of a long ball.
Runners at second and third, 2 out here in the first inning, and Fernandez comes up empty, 2-2.
Faces this up the ladder fastball. Just let him right out of the strike zone, up and away. Fernandez with a very defensive swing. Now he will definitely have to fall into a defensive mode up there at the plate.
That clipped Fernandez, I believe. It gets away from Hoyles. Now the home plate umpire finally calls dead ball to signal that Fernandez was indeed hit, and the runners will return. It'll be bases loaded, 2 out, and that's 3 hit batsmen here in the first inning.
We don't have that in front of us, but that's got to be some kind of postseason record. 3 hit batsmen, first 7 hitters.
And this one on a breaking ball from Jimmy Key. Tries to snap off a slider on the inside part of the plate and puts Tony Fernandez on that back leg. Little confusion initially. Nobody was really quite sure around home plate, but home plate umpire Jim Joyce took a look to the third base umpire, Larry McCoy, and I think Larry McCoy signaled to him that yes, indeed, it did hit the batter. You see it clip him on the right knee.
Matt Williams, of course, taking no chances, but once the ball hits the batter, the ball is dead and runners cannot advance.
And a visit from Ray Miller, the pitching coach, out to talk to Jimmy Key, who's huffing and puffing through this first inning. A hit batsman, a homer. A single, a hit batsman, a ground out, a hit batsman. And now with the bases loaded, 2 out, it's going to be up to Kevin Seitzer to make this a huge Cleveland first inning.
And you heard Steve Lyons talking in the pregame show that Kevin Seitzer was in the lineup because he's a good opposite field hitter tonight. Great situation for him to break this game open early.
What that tells you is he didn't have many hits during the regular season. He will spread them around, bases loaded, 2 out, and he takes ball 1.
Seitzer straight away adjusts slightly opposite field.
Play him straight away in the outfield. Pick-off play and they nearly got justice.
A lot of times when a guy is hit like David Justice, his leg's still sore. He gets a little bleed off of second base. You try to pick him off, playing on the injury, and it was very, very close. Watch Alomar. Very close.
That was a timing play. You could see Chris Hoyles drop the catcher's mitt. Jimmy Key goes into his stretch position, never looks at second base. The key to the play is Chris Hoyles timing Roberto Alomar's break to second. He drops his catcher's mitt. Key turns and throws.
Now 2 balls, no strikes on Seitzer. And Jimmy Key, who lasted only 4 2/3 innings in his divisional start against the Seattle Mariners, was a loser in Game 3. Has to come into Seitzer with the bases loaded, 2 out here in the first and 2 runs already home. And he can't. It's 3-0. The numbers for Seitzer with the bases loaded. 3-0 pitch, taking all the way, 3-1. Got Kamenecki getting ready for the Orioles in their bullpen. Seitzer taking again, full count.
That, by the way, is a postseason record. 3-hit batsmen in 1 inning. Wow.
With the runners going, Seitzer fouls it away. Charles Nagy hoping for more here in the first inning with the Indians already leading by 2 on a home run by Manny Ramirez. The runners will go again. And Jimmy Key avoids a tremendous first inning with that strikeout of Kevin Seitzer. That swing produced the only runs in the first. Above the first inning, the Indians take the field behind Charles Nagy with a 2-0 lead. Thanks to a home run by Manny Ramirez. A look at the Orioles lineup. They lead it off with Brady Anderson in center field. At second, it's Roberto Alomar, career LCS .347 hitter. Batting in the 3 spot, it's Eric Davis. He was not in the starting lineup last night with Palmeiro cleaning up. B.J. Surhoff in left, Cal Ripken at third. Harold Baines is the DH again. Chris Hoyles in the lineup tonight with Mike Bordick at short, batting in the 9 spot. And a look at the Indians defense. 16 combined gold gloves with those players with the little gold arrow to the left of their name. And that defense works behind right-handed starter Charles Nagy.
See Nagy's numbers for the season, Tim mentioned earlier, very similar to Jimmy Key in the fact he needs to work that sinker on the outside corner to the left-handed batters. He needs to get ahead in the count so he can use his split-fingered fastball.
I think that's the key with Nagy's success tonight. Can he get ahead of the Baltimore hitters?
Brady Anderson took the first pitch out of the ballpark here last night in the bottom of the first inning. Off right-hander Chad O.J., and he goes up there hacking away again. That's strike one. We look back at the division series in 1996 facing Charles Nagy. A leadoff home run for Brady Anderson. The Orioles won that game 10-4 in the series, 3-1.
That home run against Nagy was on a breaking ball. Home run last night was on a breaking ball. Tonight he starts him with a fastball, gets a swinging strike.
Brady Anderson, the only player in postseason history to have 2 leadoff home runs. One last year, one this year. It's been done 22 times.
Nagy falls behind, 2 balls and a strike. Alomar and Eric Davis will follow. Off the end of the bat, 2-2. Davey Johnson has guided yet another team into the postseason. He is putting up some big numbers in his career as a manager in the big league.
All Davey does is win.
2 balls, 2 strikes, and Anderson shoots it foul. Upper tank, but very foul.
Scouting report on Charles Nagy. May look somewhat familiar. Fastball good enough to keep you honest. Got a nasty slurve. If he keeps it down, it's very effective. The split finger we mentioned. And the same note that we had on Jimmy Key's scouting report. He must establish good location in the strike zone down low.
Slurve, a very descriptive term. It's about halfway between a curve and a slider. About a 3/4 curveball is what it is.
We will see Eric Davis here in the first inning. Anderson had to get a new bat and now has a full count. Anderson leading off and grounding to first for Kevin Seitzer. And the leadoff man for the Orioles is gone. That'll bring in Roberto Alomar, batting in this 2 spot, 1 for 3 with a home run here last night.
Alomar hit a breaking ball as well last night for his home run. I don't think Nagy uses that slurve very often on the left-handed hitters. He tries to throw the sinker away, occasional fastball in, and the split-fingered fastball.
Here's that breaking ball to Roberto Alomar last night from Chad O.J. And hit in just about the same spot that Brady Anderson went deep. That was a 2-run shot and a 3-0 lead. Alomar the other way. Bit Roberts at the wall to make the catch. 2 out.
Well, the players that play in Camden Yards on a regular basis know that you do not have to pull the ball in this ballpark to have success driving the ball into the seats. Sinker low and away, actually a pretty good pitch. Alomar doing a little bit of posing there. I think he thought he hit that better than he did.
Here's Eric Davis hitting third tonight. The season hit .304, only 8 home runs, 25 RBIs. 1 ball, 1 strike.
What's that Madonna song? Vogue. Vogue. He struck a pose. Sure. Yes, he did.
2 out, nobody on. 1 ball, 1 strike. And Davis off the hands into left center field. Charles Nagy goes right through the Orioles. 1, 2, 3 here in the first inning. We played 1 in game 2, and the Indians lead by 2. 2s all over the place. Game 2, second inning, 2-0 for the Indians, who got 2 hits in the first inning, including a 2-run shot by Manny Ramirez. Tonight's overhead shots courtesy of the Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes, based in Pompano Beach, Florida. At the controls, Captain Dick Ash from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Happy to have them with us. Here's Marquise Grissom with a base hit to right. Second hit of this ALCS, and here come the Indians again here in the second.
A great approach by Marquise Grissom, taking that fastball away, shooting it into the opposite field. If the Indians offensively continue to do that, Jimmy Key is going to be forced to make an adjustment. Start throwing more fastballs on the inside part of the plate. Start bouncing some change-ups and breaking balls.
There's Bib Roberts at the plate. 1 on, nobody out. And strike one.
Good point, Bob, because with a guy like Jimmy Key, your pitcher and your catcher, you try to look at how the lineup is approaching the pitcher the first time through the order. If they're trying to take a guy like Key whose ball tails away from right-handed batters the other way, then he has to make the adjustment inside. As we look at that graphic, 8 first-inning home runs allowed. That's a lot of home runs in the first inning, and 1 here tonight, too.
Ray Miller, a little different body language tonight than last night with Scott Erickson. Rolling right through the Indians lineup. Jimmy Key faced 8 hitters in the first inning, hit 3 of them. The Indians left the bases loaded. And now Jimmy Key is allowed a leadoff hit to Grissom here in the second. He making his 11th postseason start. Strike 2 on Bib Roberts.
You see Jimmy Key went with the slide step right there. Chris Hoyles has called for a changeup, a pitch that takes a little bit longer to get to home plate. So to counteract that, Jimmy Key goes to the slide step so he can get the ball to his catcher a little bit quicker, knowing the pitch is going to be off speed.
He can also afford the slide step because he's not a power pitcher. It works more into his style of pitching than a power guy.
Good look at Jimmy Key's pickoff move to first base right there. Mike Hargrove said the Indians were going to run if they had opportunities, even though Key has a good pickoff move. And you figure with that tailing fastball to the right-handed hitters, it'd be a good opportunity to play hit and run tonight a lot.
Blowing away for ball 1 on Roberts. Mike Hargrove's just a guy you sit down and talk with, and he will just tell you just like it is. He doesn't coat anything with any extra words. He'll just come right out and tell you, and he's a very honest man, both with the media and with his players, more importantly. If he doesn't like something, he'll tell you.
Mike saying that with the mix he has now with the Cleveland Indians, a different mix than he had 2 years ago. Get rid of Albert Bell, but you end up breaking your team record for home runs in a season. 220 home runs by the Indians this year, the second most in the AL, second to Seattle.
Mike Hargrove also talking about how he's able to enjoy it a little more this time around, even with all the pressure of the postseason.
Another pickoff attempt at first base. Marquise Grissom getting a pretty good read on that move. Jimmy Key's used a couple of different moves, as you see, answering the bell. Albert Bell with 48 homers, 148 RBIs last year, and what the Indians lineup has been able to put together following that.
1 on, nobody out, and Roberts the ground ball to Ripken. Only play at first, close but out. 1 away. Well, a record that Jimmy Key wants no part of. The postseason, 3 hit batsmen in the first inning.
Well, Omar Vizquel doesn't want any part of it either, nor does David Justice or Tony Fernandez.
Who got it the worst?
I'd say Justice. The ones on the leg tend to cramp up a little bit as the game goes on.
Especially if you're a designated hitter like Justice is, he doesn't have a chance to go out and loosen it up by playing defense.
Now Vizquel, a little pop-up into shallow left. In comes Surhoff to make a diving catch for the second out.
What a play by B.J. Surhoff. He and Bordick were unsure as to who was going to get the ball. Watch the look. There's Bordick looking, and watch Surhoff look again. And finally, he makes the play. A fine play by B.J. Surhoff on the little looper by Vizquel.
It almost looked like he read the body English of his shortstop. When Bordick veered off out of his peripheral vision, B.J. Surhoff could see that the shortstop was not going to make the play. He took another couple of hard steps and made a nice sliding grab. He doesn't get enough credit for the defense he plays out there in left field. He is really a solid left fielder, very accurate, strong throwing arm, and will come up with an amazing play like that once in a while.
Here's Manny Ramirez, who went deep into center his first time up as he takes ball one. To be fair to say, the Indians have to take advantage the ineffectiveness of Jimmy Key here early, because he has that ability to settle down and start hitting spots. When he's not locating pitches is the time you have to go get him.
Well, we've seen him start to use the changeup a little bit more this inning.
1-1.
The ground ball to third base by Bip Roberts was on a changeup. Got him well out in front, topped the ball right down to Cal Ripken.
Thing you want to do with Ramirez, you want to pitch him inside. You noticed how Scott Erickson pitched Manny last night. Got to time up.
Already over 40 pitches for Key, who's trying to get around a leadoff hit by Grissom here in the second. Alomar in behind the runner, but Key not willing to risk a wild throw with Grissom on the bases.
Bob, you mentioned before the game, Mike telling us before the game this evening that the Indian hitters would try to stand closer to the plate to take that outside fastball away from Jimmy Key. And Ramirez appears closer than he was last night.
That's how to play right side for strike two.
Well, what that does, it takes that pitch on the outside corner, and now suddenly that becomes the middle of the strike zone because you're standing closer to the plate. If Jimmy Key wants to stay away from your power, he has to go out of the strike zone. And then at that point, it's up to you as a hitter to be disciplined enough to lay off that pitch.
Or if he notices it, he has to come inside to get you back to where the fastball away is effective.
The ball and 2 strikes on Manny Ramirez with a runner at second, 2 out. Davey Johnson telling us before the game that Jimmy Key will pitch this game 2, and that's it for Key in this ALCS. At least that's the plan right now. Grissom at second with 2 out, and that's in off the plate. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
The danger you run into as a hitter making an adjustment like this, moving up on the plate, sometimes you lose your strike zone, especially on that pitch inside.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Missing low and away, and a full count now on Ramirez with Matt Williams waiting on deck. This crowd here at Camden Yards awful quiet here at the start. Trying to get into it. The Indians got too early on a home run by the man at the plate. Strike 3 over the inside corner. And Key runs one inside, caught the corner, strikes out his 3rd of the night. Bottom of the second, 2-0 Cleveland.
1997 American League Championship Series on Fox is brought to you by Chevrolet Trucks, the most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road. By Visa, it's everywhere you want to be. By Nike. And by IBM, solutions for a small planet.
Welcome back to Baltimore as Charles Nagy goes to work, trying to protect that 2-0 lead here in the second. We remind you this copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Commissioner of Baseball and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the express written consent of the Commissioner as we play here in the second inning. And Palmeiro comes up empty with Nagy running the ball low and away for strike one. Palmeiro, Surhoff, Ripken. Middle three in the lineup after the Orioles went in order in the first. Strike two.
0-2 on Rafael Palmeiro. It should be 2-0. The first pitch outside, the second pitch was high. That's the ball up and in. And obviously most hitters, almost all hitters, are vulnerable in that spot, and low and away also.
This time Palmeiro lays off 1-2.
He's going to swing at balls, don't throw strikes. Palmeiro's been very, very anxious the last month and a half of the season, swinging at too many bad balls.
2-2. That's foul and nearly picked off John Stern. He flips some more sunflower seeds in his mouth and says, go get him, Rafi.
You know, it's interesting. He didn't have good swings at the first two balls because they were out of the strike zone. The minute Nagy threw a strike, he hits a rope.
Struggled in September, and in this postseason, just 3 out of 16. Nagy does not get the corner full count.
Boy, throughout the course of this at bat, you can see Nagy going to those blue areas on that hot zone. Down low and away, up and in, tried to go in with the breaking ball that Palmeiro pulled foul.
That's pulled down the right field line fair. Ramirez over to dig it out, kicks it out in the corner, and Palmeiro ends up at second to start the second inning.
I think Ramirez overran that ball. It looked like the ball hit him on the heel of the glove. This ball hit very hard down the right field line. Palmeiro gets the fastball, smokes it. Watch Ramirez.
I think this should be ruled a hit and an error. Ramirez bobbles the ball down there in the corner, and Palmeiro had stopped around first base.
That's right.
And didn't attempt to advance until he saw the ball come loose down there in the corner.
I agree with you, but it's ruled a double. But there is no doubt that Palmeiro was willing to hold at first.
Right there, that hesitation, conceding first base, forgetting about second, but he saw the bobble, then went to second.
So a leadoff double now, B.J. Surhoff. Into center field, well hit. Grissom back to get it. Palmeiro tags and moves to third. He's there with one out.
B.J. Surhoff is a notorious first ball, high fastball hitter. Very rarely will take that fastball up in the strike zone on first pitch. Drives the ball deep into center field. It's a sinker pretty much right down the heart of the plate, but Surhoff is always ready for that first pitch.
So now for the Orioles, a runner at third with one out. And Ripken at the plate. Crowding him inside, catching the inside corner, strike one. Ripken 1 for 3 in game one last night. 1-1. Orioles down by 2 in the second, trying to get on the board. Runner at third, one out. And strike 2 on Ripken. And just like you guys talked about last night, everything has been in on the hands of Cal Ripken.
Time up, good low ball hitter, the ball down and in. You move it up 6 inches and you jam him. Tailing fastball, actually off the plate inside.
Nagy looking for his first strikeout. Side off the plate, 2-2.
He's continuing to pound Ripken inside. Put slider away right here after setting him up with all those sinkers inside. Try to go away with a breaking ball.
Wouldn't chase, full count.
Back inside.
Into left field, track, wall, Tiger.
In that down and in hot zone for Cal Ripken. Didn't tail inside as far as the other pitches earlier in the sequence. Cal buggy whips it down that left field line.
That's the problem with pitching anybody inside. You really have to lift the scope. You don't jam guys down and in.
You got a call from the president right there.
1 ball, 1 strike on Harold Bain.
Bill said nice hitting, right?
Talked about it last night with Ripken. Bad back and all. Steve Lyons talked about it in the pregame show. The disc problem. Knowing that body of his better than anybody and saying, I'm still capable of carrying my teammates, and he's done that in this postseason. He's had a lot of help, but he's been right there in the middle of everything for the Orioles. Still 1-2 on Bain. Ripken ties this game at 2 here in the second. And a weak tap by Baines as Nagy takes care of it. 2 gone.
Let's take a look at Cal Ripken and the hit zone. We'll kind of superimpose that hit zone over Ripken's stance. Remember, the pitch down and in is that one on which he is lethal. And here's the pitch sequence right here. That is the hot zone. That's the home run right there that Ripken hit. And we'll give you the sequence after the pitch. But that ball down and in, you could see that hot area. And he ties the ball game up.
Now Hoyles with 2 out, nobody on, takes a ball.
Hey, Ripken has a swing from the right side of the plate, a lot like a left-handed hitter. You get a look at the sequence. Sinker inside, sinker outside, and then they just go back inside, pound him inside, try the slider away. He's not biting. And, of course, got that sinker down in the happy zone. Started to say Ripken hits a lot like a left-handed hitter.
He does.
Drops the head of the bat on that low inside pitch very well. Doesn't handle the ball up very well. And generally, that's the way most left-handers hit. They like the ball down and in, have trouble with the ball up.
A rocket off the bat of Hoyles, foul. And the count's still 1-2.
I think in today's game, though, more and more hitters are becoming low ball hitters because umpires don't usually call that strike from the belt up.
Anything above the belly button is a ball, even though technically from the bottom of the letters to the belly button is supposed to be a strike.
That's well hit into right. Ramirez back to get it to end the inning. A leadoff double by Rafael Palmeiro. Cal Ripken with a runner at third, 1 out. After that swing, we're tied at 2. Two innings complete here in game 2. Indians trying to even this best-of-7 series at a game apiece. Aggie gave up the game-tying home run to Cal Ripken Indians have already left 4, and they bat here in the 3rd inning with Williams, Justice, and Alomar. 4, 5, and 6 hitters. A changeup and a foul for strike 1 off the bat of Matt Williams.
You see Matt Williams coming out of his shoes expecting that first pitch fastball. Jimmy Key throws in the straight change. Matty barely cued it off the end of the bat right there.
One ball, one strike.
Jimmy Key, before May 7th, was 9-1 for his career in this ballpark. Since then, he's 1-9, and that includes a postseason loss to the Seattle Mariners. It's a remarkable turnaround.
The wrong way as far as Jimmy Key's concerned, and high for ball 2 on Matt Williams, 2-1. Williams leading off in the 3rd and taking a strike, 2-2.
That's that outside strike that Jimmy Key must get from the home plate umpire to be effective.
Two balls, 2 strikes on Matt Williams. And we'll do it again. Justice, who was hit by a pitch, will follow. Not only did the Indians get 2 runs in the 1st inning, they then loaded the bases, but Seitzer struck out. The Indians missed a chance for one of those breakthrough innings, getting only 2, and since then the Orioles have tied it. 2-2 on Matt Williams. Full count.
Matt may see what he saw on the first pitch, a changeup, after that bevy of fastballs. Breaking ball mixed in. Fastball away.
And that's strikeout number 4 for Jimmy Key, as Matt Williams is gone here in the 3rd inning.
With nobody on base, a pitcher will occasionally take something off on his own. And it appeared to me that Jimmy Key, even though he got the signal for a fastball away, didn't throw his best fastball. Took a little off that one, got Williams out in front again. And with no runner on base that's a threat to perhaps steal, you know, you can take a little off on your own from time to time without letting the catcher know it.
And with 1 out, nobody on, David Justice cues one to the left side. And no chance for Jimmy Key. An infield hit for Justice. He's on base for the 2nd time tonight.
David asking first base umpire John Hirschbeck if it was a foul ball. John, of course, said no. Watch this ball just hug the grass.
Grown man hit that ball.
The marker, though, it sure is. Putts count 2.
Here's Alomar, 1 on, 1 out. Sandy bounced out to second, was robbed of a hit by his brother Roberto. He has hit 2 postseason home runs here in 1997. That's off the plate and foul for strike 1.
Key using a lot more off-speed pitches here in the 3rd inning. 1st inning almost exclusively fastballs. Has started to go more to the straight changeup, mix in a few breaking balls. Going to take a little bit off the fastball on his own to Matt Williams to lead off the inning with the strikeout.
Struck out Manny Ramirez on the inside fastball in the 2nd inning, so Key is adjusting to the Indians lineup.
Justice draws a throw. David has yet to steal a base in the postseason. Stole only 3 during the regular year. 1 ball, 1 strike on Alomar. Sandy Alomar Jr. against Mariano Rivera in the 8th inning. The game-tying home run tied that game at 2. The Indians would then win it in the 9th inning, forcing Game 5, which they won 4-3 over the world champion Yankees. 1 ball, 1 strike, and Alomar the other way. Roberto kicks this one, and the only play is at first. Roberto had dreams of an inning-ending double play. Instead, it's just the ground out 4-3.
Splinter City. Right off the end of the bat, carrying the bat handle about halfway down to first base. Second time in this ball game, he is grounded to brother Roberto.
Tent peg, that's what you end up with.
Yeah.
That little sliver of a handle with a sharp point on the end, it makes a nice tent peg.
Here's Tony Fernandez with the go-ahead run at second, 2 out here in the 3rd inning. Tony was hit by a pitch on the knee his first time up. Trying to put the Indians back out in front here in Game 2. He falls behind 2-0. Seitzer next.
Tony Fernandez with good numbers against Jimmy Key in his career 5 for 11 lifetime coming into play tonight. Well, Tony Fernandez played behind Jimmy Key in Toronto for a number of years, so he should certainly know how Jimmy Key likes to go about getting hitters out.
Well, he swing on 3-0, taking ball 4 up and away, 2 on, 2 out. And Seitzer gets another chance. First walk handed out by Jimmy Key, and now Kevin Seitzer, who struck out with the bases loaded back in the first, has a chance to put Cleveland back out in front. Looking for his first hit of the postseason. A strike over the outside corner. Little infield hit by David Justice here in the 3rd inning with 1 out, then the 2-out walk to Fernandez. To the left side for the shortstop Fording. And Seitzer now has left 5 runners on base. We're only through 2.5 here in Game 2. Indians and Orioles tied at 2. Nagy back to work in the bottom of the 3rd inning. Game tied 2-2. Here's your guy, Tim.
I love it. Wonderful. Look at this.
The guy's shaking up a cup of lemonade.
That's all it is. Lemonade.
He used to work for James Bond. Make those martinis shaken, not stirred.
He is a walking Cuisinart.
Spent 15 days on the disabled list earlier this year with a hip flexor.
Rotator cuff.
Here's Bordick, the number 9 hitter with Brady Anderson and Roberto Alomar to follow. Trying to shake this crowd up. Bordick 0 for 3 in Game 1. Now set up at 0-2. Had a perfect first inning, went right through Anderson, Alomar, and Davis, 1-2-3. Then a leadoff double by Palmeiro in the second. A 1-out, 2-run home run by Cal Ripken Jr., his first ever in the postseason. That's low, 1-2.
Still a good sign for Nagy. You may remember the scouting report. It was very important for him to establish low in the strike zone, and if he's going to miss further down.
Blowing away here, 2-2.
That's the advantage you have when you get ahead of the hitter, because when a hitter becomes a defensive hitter, he's more inclined to go after balls out of the strike zone. Not trying to make it too simplistic, but that's what happens.
Wardick able to lay off, and from 0-2 to 3-2. Control obviously a problem for Nagy in his other postseason start this year. Walked 6 in that Game 3 loss to the Yankees at Jacobs Field. Has yet to walk a hitter tonight. Wardick gets into one to left. Roberts back, has room, one away. The leadoff man is gone. And with that, we remind you, it's Saturday. It's Game 3 of the American League Championship Series, as the scene will shift to Jacobs Field, where Mike Messina takes to the mound and leads the Baltimore Orioles against Orel Hershiser and the Indians. Coverage begins live at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, right here on Fox. Orel Hershiser, with that effort in Game 4, did not get a decision in either one of his division starts. But in Game 4, Hershiser went 7 strong innings, allowed only a couple of runs on 8 hits. Gave his team a chance, really, to come back and win that game. Forced Game 5, and it's the Indians here instead of the Yankees. Brady Anderson now with 1 out, nobody on in the 3rd.
Things will be shaking at the Jake at 4 o'clock on Saturday. There is no doubt in my mind that that crowd helped the Cleveland Indians beat the New York Yankees. Sometimes if you can't tell whether the crowd, they're lending their support, but you really don't know whether they're the 10th player in the stands. There's no doubt in my mind that the Indians fans had something to do with the Indians beating the Yankees.
3-0 now on Anderson. Alomar next. 2-2 game in the 3rd. And on 4 straight, a walk to Brady Anderson.
You mentioned the 6 walks against the Yankees in Game 3. That was in only 3 2/3 innings, and Nagy was very critical of himself for just nibbling too much. He didn't get ahead of the hitters, much like he did to Brady Anderson right there. Just refused to throw the ball over the plate.
Anderson on with 1 out for Alomar, and Roberto takes the ball up and away.
Generally speaking, it's healthy for a pitcher to challenge early and nibble late. If you get it reversed, that's when you run into trouble. If you nibble early, then the count becomes in the hitter's favor. That's when you get damaged, like Ramirez did to Jimmy Key on the 3-1 pitch.
To the second baseman, Fernandez. The flip behind him for the out, on to first, not in time.
Look at that play. Whew. How about that, folks? That was a big league turn right there. They almost had Alomar.
Looks like almost a blind flip here from Tony Fernandez. He does take a peek, but that backhanded flip to Omar Vizquel and the relay to first makes it a very close play. You could see Brady Anderson stop on his way to second. He perhaps felt that Fernandez was going to try to tag him, but Fernandez just kept going on to the middle of the infield and pitching to a tailback right there.
To the 4-6 force out, 1 Gold Glover to another. And Eric Davis comes up empty for strike 1. Look at the American League Gold Glove Awards at shortstop. Is Kellen Fernandez. That's at short. Fernandez playing second tonight because of that guy. Into left field, down the line, off the bat of Davis. Alomar will stop at second. Roberts kicks it out and left. His throw to the infield too late. That'll be an error, and it's second and third, 2 out.
Bibb Roberts has played a lot of left field this year, but he's not really strong defensively out there. Does not have a strong arm. He just loses this ball trying to make the transition from the glove to the throwing hand. Allows both runners to advance. Normally, Mike Hargrove will take him out late in the ball game with the lead for defensive purposes.
Some errors are understandable because an outfielder needs to be aggressive. That was not an understandable error because Alomar had stopped at second base. Once you see him stop, be more cautious.
Now second and third, 2 out. Rafael Palmeiro at the plate. Doubled and scored his first time up. And that foul makes it strike one. Still looking for his first RBI of the postseason.
And the Cleveland Indians must know something a lot of other baseball people don't know. 110 RBIs for Rafael Palmeiro. Eric Davis was walked to get to him last night. Brian Anderson struck him out. And now going right at him with first base open.
Runners at second and third and blocked by Alomar, 1-1.
One of the side effects of trying to pitch around the batter with first base open. Balls in the dirt could get away from the catcher. 2 fine plays by Alomar.
Back-to-back sliders down and in, or that slurve down and in. First one, Palmeiro swung over. This one a little bit lower, a little bit further inside, and a nice block by Alomar.
1-1 on Palmeiro. Over the outside corner for strike 2. Those numbers wouldn't support pitching to Palmeiro either. But they are coming after him with Alomar, the runner, at third, and Davis on at second with 2 out. Tie game here in the third inning. Over the outside corner, struck him out, and a perfect time for Nagy's first strikeout of the night. We played 3 here in game 2 in Baltimore. Indians and Orioles tied 2-2. Still tied at 2 as we move to the 4th inning, and Bob Brenly, they pitched to Palmeiro, and it worked.
Well, this is what you can do if you make a hitter aware inside. Throws him 2 breaking balls inside off the plate, and then paints the outside corner twice with sinker balls. Perfect location on all 4 pitches.
The number 9 hitter, Marquise Grissom, leads it off, facing Jimmy Key, and he takes ball 1. Grissom singled and was left on back in the second. Takes ball 2, 2-0. Really haven't seen Jimmy Key get into much of a groove yet. But the Indians have left 6 runners on. Into left field, Grissom's 2 for 2. So the leadoff man is on for Cleveland again. It's Grissom again, and we will give you a Miller Lite game break. Take you back to 1979. ALCS Game 1 against the Angels, and John Lowenstein takes John Montague deep for a 3-run home run that came in the bottom of the 10th inning. The Orioles would go on to win that ALCS, only to lose in the World Series to the Pittsburgh Pirates.
John Lowenstein, a former Cleveland outfielder, also a zany character who announced here in the Baltimore area for 10 or 12 years. Very, very funny man. Matter of fact, he's the one who coined the phrase that at first base, we're 89 feet from home plate instead of 90. There wouldn't be that many close plays over there.
1 on, nobody out. And a ball to Bibb Roberts, who's 0 for 2.
Bibb Roberts with a long look down to Jeff Newman, the third base coach. Mentioned Mike Hargrove told us that he was going to continue to run even though Jimmy Key has the good pickoff move.
Grissom able to get a read as Palmeiro still playing in that in-between area between the bag and the runner. Rather close, but still Grissom on with nobody out here in the fourth. Indians got 2 runs in the first inning and a home run by Manny Ramirez, then left the bases loaded. Orioles tied the game in the bottom of the second on a 2-run shot by Cal Ripken. His first postseason home run.
Every time Jimmy Key has thrown a changeup out of the stretch, he's thrown it with the slide step. I guarantee you if he continues to do that, it's going to be picked up by the Indians offense, and when they see the slide step out of the stretch, you'll be able to guess changeup. He really needs to throw a fastball now and then out of that same slide step just to keep the hitters honest. Just a pick-off move to first base, attempting to get Marquise Grissom.
You mentioned it last time, Tim. Grissom not having any problems reading that move, and there he goes. No throw by Hoyles, and Grissom is in at second with his first steal of the postseason. He had no trouble at all picking up the move by Jimmy Key.
A running jump at first base. Watch Grissom. The minute he picks the leg up, there he goes. The look back to make sure that Roberts doesn't make contact in the air. There's the look right there. No chance. A hurried throw by Chris Hoyles, and now you have to watch Grissom on at second base. It's not the time to try to steal third with nobody out, but with 1 out, it could be.
2 balls and a strike on Bip Roberts over the outside corner, 2-2. The Indians looking for that key hit. They've already stranded 6. 5 in scoring position, 0 for 5. Just missing. Full count now on Bip Roberts.
Hoyle set up on the outside corner. This pitch just a little too far off the corner. That's a little bit down.
Go ahead run at second with nobody out. Key gives a look back at Grissom.
The reason it's not a good idea to try to steal third with nobody out is because the hitter can move you over there. With 1 out, that's when you want to take the chance.
Roberts into right center field. Brady Anderson has to go back. Makes the catch, but Grissom tags and goes to third. And Brady Anderson had a tough time reading that ball. It was a little better struck than he thought, and Roberts almost shot it over his head. It's the first out here in the 4th inning.
Just a fine job of hitting by Bip Roberts. The tailing fastball, he hits hard, and it did surprise Brady Anderson. Surprised us, too.
So with that grab, it was easy for Grissom to advance, and now the go-ahead run for the Indians 90 feet away with 1 out here in the 4th inning of a 2-2 game.
Davey Johnson has the middle infielders back right now. What has become fashionable in 1997 is the middle infielders don't advance until the pitcher is in his stretch. A lot of teams are employing that style of defense. Looks like the infield's back. Mike Hargrove doesn't squeeze a lot, but this is a combination where you wouldn't be shocked to see it. With the speed of Grissom at third and a guy who handles the bat at the plate like Vizquel. And Mike Hargrove telling us that Vizquel is one of the guys that he'll squeeze with. Doesn't like to do it a lot, but Vizquel is one of them. Excellent bunter.
Jimmy Key with a quick step-off move to see if perhaps Vizquel would tip anything at the plate, or perhaps Marquise Grissom, the runner at third, maybe tip something off, but nothing evident right there.
Inside, 2-0.
It's interesting, Davy Johnson having the infield back in this situation. It is the 4th inning. You have a tie game. I think Davy has so much confidence in his offense to create big innings that he doesn't want a big inning against his team, and that's why he's allowing them to get the 1 run.
Now 3-0 on Vizquel with Manny Ramirez on deck.
Jimmy Key throwing a 2-0 changeup to Omar Vizquel, a batter that, although he gets the bat on the ball, he's not the kind of guy that's going to really tee one up on a 2-0 count. Pitching very carefully, the number 2 hitter with a dangerous hitter on deck.
Go ahead run at third. And ball 4, high and away to Vizquel. Makes it first and third, 1 out. And Ramirez coming in, and Davy Johnson to the phone.
Remember in the opening tonight, folks, we said that Jim Joyce, the home plate umpire, could have something to do with both pitchers and how liberal he was in giving them the outside part of the plate. Charles Nagy with the tailing fastball for the strikeout to end the bottom of the 3rd, and now Jimmy Key feels as though he was squeezed on that 3-0 pitch.
And it's Kamenecki again out in the Orioles bullpen, and here comes Ray Miller to buy a little time.
Kamenecki was up in the 1st inning, got to throw a little bit in that 1st inning. Shouldn't be too far away from being ready out there. Should take a minimum amount of pitches to get him ready to come into the ball game.
See on the cap of Ray Miller that JB just below the Oriole. That is a tribute to his longtime friend who passed away a couple of weeks ago, Joe Branzell, longtime Major League scout from the Maryland area. He has had his say with Jimmy Key, and back to the dugout. Jimmy Key is in trouble here in the 4th inning.
Remember the last time up, Manny Ramirez was the batter. The count was 1 ball and 2 strikes, and Jimmy Key came inside to strike him out. And this was it, last time up. Ramirez freezes. You've got to wonder whether Key's going to go back in there.
Runners at the corners with 1 out for the Indians here in the 4th inning of a tie game. Strike 1 on Manny Ramirez, who back in the 1st inning after Omar Vizquel was hit by a pitch, did that to dead central. Brady Anderson, who robbed Ramirez of a home run here last night, ran out of room, and the Indians took a 2-0 lead. Back inside, 1-1.
That low and in zone we talked about with Cal Ripken earlier. Drops the head of the bat on that pitch down and in, but Manny Ramirez also handles that pitch out over the plate. He likes to extend his arms. We talked about it in the open. And that first at bat, he drove a pitch on the outside part of the plate to straightaway center field.
Jack on Vizquel. Grissom started this inning with a hit. Stole second, moved to third on a deep fly ball hit by Roberts. Then the walk to Omar Vizquel. Manny Ramirez is trying to give Charles Nagy a 4th inning lead. To the left side for Ripken. Out at second. Got them both. 5-4-3 to end the threat, and the top of the 4th inning still tied at 2.
Well, sometimes double plays are made by a good turn at second base. This double play was made because Cal Ripken got the ball out of his glove and to second base so quickly, gave Robbie Alomar a chance to make that turn and throw on to second base on a very slowly hit ball. Vizquel going into second base with a vengeance.
Now B.J. Surhoff lines a base hit to right center to start the bottom of the 4th. And here come the Orioles after that big double play turn to the top of the inning.
Surhoff once again, first pitch hacking up there. He flied out to center field, his last at bat on the first pitch. Very aggressive hitter.
Here's Ripken, who homered his first time up to tie this game back in the second. A ball from Nagy. Here's the swing that tied it. In the second, and the first career postseason home run for a man with a piercing blue eyes. One on, nobody out, fourth inning. 2-0 to Ripken. Nagy danced into and out of trouble last inning. A walk, a single, an error behind him. Now a leadoff hit by Surhoff here in the fourth. 2-1 count on Cal Ripken.
Nagy continues to crank it up out in the bullpen. Usually would indicate that Jimmy Key's evening would be over.
Yeah, he's warming up for Rio right now.
Pitch a little high, evidently 3-1. The Orioles all-time leader in home runs, runs batted in, runs, extra base hits, doubles, and I think consecutive games played. Runner at first, nobody out, and the 3-1 to Ripken. Full count.
And Nagy made a good pitch right there on the 3-1 count. A sinker that started off the outside corner, just tailed back enough to be in the zone. Now Ripken eyes light up when he sees that low sinker, but it's out over the plate in a good location. Pulls it harmlessly foul.
And look for Surhoff to be running right here with a count 3-2 on Ripken.
On the move, and Ripken shoots one into left center for Marquise Grissom. Nagy battled back to get Ripken. One out. Back to first is Surhoff. And we remind you that tomorrow it's time for contact on an all-new visitor. Then witness the most frightening animal attacks ever caught on tape. When animals attack 4. An all-new special. It all starts tomorrow night, 8 Eastern, 7 Central here on Fox. There's Harold Baines, 1 on, 1 out.
See a little hesitation there by Sandy Alomar on that pitch. It was supposed to be a sinker down low and away, I believe, and the ball kind of took off and went up and away. Every now and then a pitcher, his grip won't be quite right on that sinker, and the ball doesn't react the way you expect it to. Very easy to clank that ball off the glove all the way to the backstop.
Baines takes a strike, 1-1. Harold Baines during the regular season hit over 300. One of the best designated hitters ever. When you look at his outfield hits by direction, he will spread it around. And still has power the opposite way. The opposite way into left field for a 1-out hit, and it's 2 on, 1 out here in the fourth.
Harold Baines stands so far off the plate, he really baits the pitcher into pitching him away, and if you do that, Harold just flips the bat out there. He's done this so many times throughout the course of his career. Just line that ball through that hole on the left side of the infield.
What you do, you follow the sink with the head of the bat. As the ball goes away, you go away with it. Good piece of hitting by Baines.
Now 2 on, 1 out, and Chris Hoyles at the plate. Hoyles fly to right, back in the second. To third for Williams. The step and the throw for the inning-ending 5-3 double play. That's the way the top of the fourth inning ended. It's the way the bottom half ends here in Game 2. Fifth inning, tied at 2. We are ready now for the top of the fifth inning here at Oriole Park at Camden Yards. Providing our shots from above is the Goodyear Blimp Stars and Stripes. It was in 1960 when the Goodyear Blimps first began live sports coverage at the Orange Bowl. And again, we thank them for their participation with our Fox telecasts throughout the postseason. Here's Scott Kamenecki. He takes over for Jimmy Key, who dodged bullets throughout the first 4 innings and leads in a 2-2 game.
Yeah, really, Jimmy Key did a nice job of scrambling around that Indians lineup after giving up the 2-run homer in the first. He was in trouble almost every inning, but seemed to come up with the big pitches when he needed them.
Davey Johnson telling us before the game that Kamenecki would throw in Game 5. That would be on Monday. So here he is getting a little work in the fifth inning, dealing with Matt Williams in strike 1.
And right away you can see one of Kamenecki's better pitches, the big overhand curve, breaks almost straight down towards the ground. Even stops halfway to home plate. That's tough to hit.
1 ball, 1 strike. Justice and Alomar will follow. Williams singled, stole a base in the first, struck out in the third.
One thing Davey Johnson is doing, he is giving the Indians a different look with Kamenecki out there. Not only is he a right-hander, but a right-hander with completely different stuff than Jimmy Key. The high-riding fastball, the overhand curveball. Injury-plagued season last year.
Really coming off a good year. Had an injury-plagued 1996 while in the Yankee organization. Product of that farm system, and his first year a 10-game winner with the Orioles. To the right side, this is a long run for Palmeiro. And a heck of a grab, falling over the tarp for the out, 1 away.
This would have been a great play, even had there been no tarp there. But after the catch, falling over the tarp and holding on. Fine play by Palmeiro.
He was the only one that could make that play. Robbie Alomar was cheating up the middle a little bit on Matt Williams. Eric Davis in right field was shading over towards the gap. Palmeiro was the only man that could get to that ball.
So a good play for Palmeiro, and for the Orioles, they've committed just the 1 error during this postseason, which came last night, a throwing error by their catcher Lenny Webster. That's all. Justice at the plate. Took a strike, and now a ball, 1-1. Justice has been hit by a pitch and singled. Now up on the count, 2 balls and a strike. Now that the Orioles have gone to the right-hander Kamenecki, you wonder how long it'll be before we see Jim Thome in this lineup. It's just tough to believe a guy that hit 40 home runs during the regular season wasn't in the lineup to start with. B won't be in the lineup before too long. Especially now with Kamenecki out there. 3-1 on Justice.
If the Indians get 2 runners on in this inning, Kevin Seitzer would be due up. And that's when I'm sure you will see Jim Thome.
1 out, nobody on here in the 5th. 2-2 game. And a full count on Justice.
A 3-1 changeup from Kamenecki. A good pitch to a fastball hitter. As the count worked into his favor, he's going to sit on something hard right here. You can see the fingers come off the ball, and Justice just continues to pound foul balls off his feet with the front foot and the back foot last night.
Kamenicky trying to go through the first two Indians here in the 5th inning. Williams fouled out on a great play by Palmeiro. And Justice back to Kamenicky. 2 out. Well, Game 4 of this American League Championship Series will take place at Jacobs Field in Cleveland, Ohio. And we remind you to tune in for the $1 million Gillette Strike Zone Challenge, where one fan will have the opportunity to throw a strike for $1 million. That's coming up in Game 4. This is Game 2, tied at 2 with the Orioles up 1-0 and here's Alomar with 2 out, nobody on. Alomar has bounced to Alomar twice tonight. And a strike from Kamenicky.
Kamenicky has gotten ahead of every hitter this inning with the breaking ball. The first 2 batters, Williams and Justice, with the big overhand curve. Now Sandy Alomar with the slider on the outside corner.
And with both hitters, Williams and Justice, he finished them off with the fastball. Pretty good formula. Start them off with one pitch, finish them off with another.
2 out, nothing doing for the Indians in the 5th. Now 2-1 on Alomar. Tomorrow is a travel day for this ALCS, and then we resume with Game 3, an afternoon game at Jacobs Field. And a matchup of Messina and Hershiser. Over the outside corner, 2-2.
3 straight curveballs, and he freezes him with that fastball on the outside corner. Right there.
Alomar, a good piece of work to spoil that pitch in on his hands. Still 2-2.
Kamenicky's got a very good fastball as well. He starts him off with the slider on the outside corner, comes back with the big curve, another curve, paints the outside corner with a fastball, and then busts him inside with a 90-mile-an-hour fastball.
What will Alomar get? Again with a count 2-2. Drive into right. Eric Davis puts it away, and the Indians go in order in the top of the 5th inning. Halfway through game number 2. Tied at 2.
87 American League Championship Series on Fox is brought to you by Miller Lite, who reminds you that anything can happen at Miller time. By Sierra by GMC, putting you comfortably in command. By Oracle, the company that's enabling the information age through network computing. And by Most Wanted, starring Keenan Ivory Wayans. Sometimes the most patriotic thing a Marine can do is disobey orders. Rated R.
Bottom of the 5th inning here in Game 2 with the score even 2 aside. John Hart, general manager of the Cleveland Indians, talking it over with Don Fear. So those two could have a lot to talk about. John Hart, who has really done a magnificent job turning the Indians franchise around, spotting that good young talent, signing that good young talent to long-term contracts, helping that city of Cleveland fall in love with these players. Some have stayed around, some have headed for the hills. Guys like Lofton and Albert Bell, Carlos Baerga. Still have some of that core here, and still have some very good young ball players on this Indians team.
And it must be said, too, that John went out last winter and tried to sign free agent pitchers, realizing that pitching was much needed, particularly starters.
Bordick flies to left, right at Pip Roberts. Bordick is the first out here in the bottom of the 5th inning. Talked about it a moment ago. We'll tell you again that Saturday it's Game 3 of the American League Championship Series. The scene will shift to Jacobs Field. Mike Messina takes to the mound and leads the Orioles against Oral Hershiser and the Indians. Coverage begins live at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, right here on Fox. Brady Anderson walks in and takes a ball from Nagy.
John Hart tried to sign Alex Fernandez, David Wells, Roger Clemens. Who could forget that ovation for Curt Schilling at the All-Star game? The Phillies pitcher who became the right-hander that struck out more batters in the National League than anybody in history, 319 for the Phillies. And the Indians tried to get him, but the price was too high.
And they finally make the trade, and they get the left-hander from Cincinnati, Smiley. And he breaks his arm warming up in the bullpen in the month of September. That was a major loss for the Indians. Without that left-handed presence, the starting rotation, Anderson comes up empty, 2-2.
Left-handed pitching is so valuable down the stretch and into the postseason, having that starter that you can run out there and hopefully neutralize the opposition's left-handed bats. And John Smiley not available to Mike Hargrove.
Particularly against a team like the Baltimore Orioles with Brady Anderson, Alomar, Palmeiro.
This is Fernandez to his right. Bad throw, and Anderson is safe. Anderson not going all out down the line, and Fernandez with that little easy flip. And Brady Anderson on with 1 out here in the 5th inning, still waiting for a ruling, but likely an error.
Remember David Johnson telling us yesterday before the game that Anderson and Alomar were hampered with leg injuries off the end of the bat. Tony Fernandez, you can see it looked like Anderson pulled up about halfway down there. He's been bothered with a groin problem, and David Johnson and the trainers talking about Brady Anderson, you would assume, right now.
It's an error on the second baseman, Fernandez. Zeister does not move around as well as he once did over at first. Couldn't come up with a throw as Alomar takes the ball low. Brady Anderson all but stopped going halfway down the line and just a little coast into the bag. And that's why Davey Johnson and the trainer got up to the top step to make sure he was all right.
He's keeping a close eye on him over there at first base, and every time Brady Anderson has started his leadoff, he's reached a hand down to the inside. Appears to be the right leg.
He's hurting right now.
Yep.
One ball, no strikes on Roberto Alomar. 1 on, 1 out.
A good move on the part of Nagy. Go over there a lot. Make him work. Not a very big lead by Brady Anderson. Goes back head first, well ahead of the throw.
Brady Anderson's one of those players that if you're a trainer, they got to drive you nuts because you almost have to go out there and pull him off the field. The guy who started this season with a cracked rib in his right side, the appendicitis a year ago, and a guy who just doesn't want to come out of the lineup yet. Every time he's gone back to the bag when Nagy's checked on him or that run down the line, he appears injured in some manner or another. There's a strike from Nagy. 2 balls and a strike on Alomar. But if you're a trainer, you almost have to build a case to get him out of the lineup.
Richie Bancal's keeping a close eye on him over there at first base, monitoring his every movement. You know, many times as a trainer in the major leagues, it's more important what a guy doesn't say than what he does say. Because as you mentioned, a guy like Brady Anderson is not going to want to come out of the ball game.
Well, Nagy has paid a lot of attention to Brady Anderson over at first. While we have as well, the count's 3-1 on Roberto Alomar with Eric Davis next. There goes Anderson as Alomar fouls away strike 2. And I think they've seen enough for a little while without a visit.
We don't know if this is a recurrence of a problem that he's had before, whether it's a new problem. It was very obvious, though, trying to leg out that ground ball to Tony Fernandez, that he broke it down about 3/4 of the way down the first baseline and just glided across the bag. Has looked in apparent discomfort every time he takes his lead off first base, but yet takes off for second on the 3-1 pitch.
Of course, that's one area the Orioles are deep in. They do have Geronimo Baroa on the bench. They have Jeffrey Hammond. Here's Brady Anderson extending on that ball hit by Bip Roberts a couple of innings back. And he could have injured or re-injured a knee, hamstring, a calf. We don't know.
He's had a problem with his right knee. It's been a chronic problem over the past month and a half. He's at first with 1 out, running again on 3 and 2, and Fernandez to his left. That's a heck of a play to throw across his body for the second out of the inning.
Some guys would be caught in between making a pivot and turning back across their body, but Tony Fernandez, with great body control, it's like a changeup to Roberto Alomar. Fine play by Fernandez to at least get Alomar. Anderson ends up on second.
This has been one of the traits of Tony Fernandez throughout his career, his ability to throw from awkward angles, and more often than not, a very accurate, strong throw, although he did throw away Brady Anderson's ground ball this inning.
The error by Tony Fernandez and the ball hit by Anderson keeps this inning alive as Eric Davis looks at a ball. One ball, one strike.
There was a time in his career when Eric Davis was a dead high fastball hitter. When he first got to the major leagues, he could tomahawk a high fastball better than anybody in the game. Over the years, his swing has changed, his body has changed, his physical approach at the plate has changed, carries his hands much lower now. A much better low ball hitter at this stage of his career.
Strike right down the middle, 1 and 2 now from Nagy as he tries to get around this 5th inning error.
Nagy with the backdoor sinker starts it off the outside corner, tails back over the corner. Davis opening up a little bit at home plate. He has an open stance and steps in the bucket a little bit.
To the third baseman, Williams. Nice play to his left. High throw, but little shift by Seitzer on the other end to end the inning. Nagy gets around the inning. We have played 5. 1 error in the frame, 1 left. Orioles have left 4, and we're tied at 2. Brady Anderson still in the lineup for the Orioles as they take the field here in the 6th inning. Top half, 2-2 game. And for the Indians, it'll be Tony Fernandez, Kevin Seitzer, and Marquise Grissom. 7, 8, and 9 hitters for Cleveland. And a ball from Scott Kamenecki. Fernandez has reached base twice. And takes a strike.
Joe, I think your point earlier about as Arthur Rhodes is up and throwing, your point earlier about the Indians' necessity to take advantage of Jimmy Key when he wasn't on tonight. but they failed to do that.
Fernandez into right field. Back to get it, Eric Davis, one away. Tony Fernandez retired for the first time tonight. Give you our Aflac trivia question. Who has the highest career batting average in league championship play? A minimum of 50 at-bats, by the way, and that's our Aflac trivia question. Kamenecki has faced 4, retired 4, and now deals with Kevin Seitzer. A strike from Kamenecki, 1-1.
You may be wondering why Kevin Seitzer has that guard over the left side of his face. He was beaned by Melito Perez of the Yankees back in August of 1994. He's been wearing that protective device ever since then.
Boy, Seitzer's got a great sense of humor, too. He was asked about playing in the postseason. He says, I don't know. I've had 5 knee surgeries. I can't run. I don't move very good in the field. I can't throw. I have no speed. And I can't play defense. What am I doing here?
He's waiting for a 2-1 pitch. Now up on the count, 3-1.
He's also waiting for retirement. Next year at this time, he'll be coaching a Little League team on which his sons play. He has 2 little boys. He'll retire at the end of this season.
Draws a 1-out walk here in the 6th inning.
Well, I got news for him. That coaching a Little League team will be more nerve-wracking than that fastball up and in.
Our Aflac trivia question, who has the highest career batting average in league championship play? Minimum 50 at-bats. The answer, Chipper Jones. Career LCS average of .440. Aflac trivia answer here in the 6th inning with 1 on, 1 out. Tie game 2-2 is Marquise Grissom, who's 2-4-2, digs in. Strike on a breaking ball from Kamenecki.
You're not implying that Kevin will be dealing with the parents of Little Leaguers next year about this time, are you?
Well, among other things, yeah. I mean, you know, facing a Scott Kamenecki fastball up and in front of 45,000 people will be a day in the park compared to coaching those 10, 11, and 12-year-olds.
You sound like you speak from experience.
I indeed do. I mean, it was a wonderful experience, but it wasn't quite what I expected. Just put it that way.
Seitzer on with 1 out. Grissom waits for an 0-1 pitch from Kamenecki. And a little respect for Kevin Seitzer. Part of that sentence, part of that statement, I can't run. No stolen bases during the regular season.
And they're going to throw over again right here. Got him shaken up.
Well, because he can't run, it doesn't mean he won't be part of a hit-and-run play. The speed of the runner at first base when the hit-and-run is on is really insignificant. It's more important to pick a pitcher that throws pitches low in the zone so you can primarily get a ground ball and have a batter up there who makes contact.
You see Seitzer laughing about it after that last throw over. 0-1 to count. Ball and a strike to Grissom.
Of course, the ultimate when you're a guy who does not run well is to get a pitch out. Even though more often than not it's in defense of the hit and run, you tell all your teammates that they were afraid of me. They were afraid I was going to steal a bag. Another throw to first.
Willing to bet Kevin Seitzer smiled.
Like, you've got to be kidding me. Scott, what's going on? I can't believe he's throwing over here.
gets you the go-ahead run at first with 1 out in the 6th inning of a 2-2 game. And now Kamenicki falls behind Grissom, 2-1.
The ideal count on which to hit and run. 2 balls and a strike. Can't afford to pitch out. If you're the defense, see what Mike Hargrove does. Good time to do it.
Not going, and Grissom grounds to short. They didn't start the runner. Wow. And instead of a 6-4-3 double play, Alomar unloads the throw into the seats, and Grissom down to second with 2 out on the wild throw. That was tailor-made. And when do you see Robbie Alomar throw a ball like this?
I think this is an unnecessary throw on the part of Robbie Alomar. Kevin Seitzer's not even in the vicinity yet, and he low bridges to make sure the runner gets down and air mails it over everybody at first base. Seems like he could have made a more traditional turn there, come across the bag, make an overhand throw, and make it a very routine play, but he goes way down under.
Alomar had plenty of time. It's a force-out 6-4, then E4 to allow Grissom to get down to second base. And now a runner's in scoring position with 2 out for Bip Roberts. Bip Roberts looking for his first hit of the night, trying to put the Indians on top here in Game 2.
Kamenicki with that spin move back to second base. Some guys call it the spaghetti move. Long arm, long legged pitchers, they look like a bowl of spaghetti when they do that spin around move back to second base.
Trying to keep Grissom close. Roberts 0 for 3. He struck out, grounded out, flied out, and he takes the ball. Outfield hits by direction for Bip Roberts. Play him just about straight away in the outfield. And that would figure. While batting left-handed, spreads it around.
I don't think he can see. I think Scott Kamenicki pointing to his eyes saying he could not see the signs of Chris Hoyles. Chris looking down. Sometimes catchers will wear tape on the fingers to make them more visible.
Two and 0.
Kamenicki trying to get the sign from Chris Hoyles saying, one would think that that is the can't see sign.
We've seen Sandy Alomar for the Indians. He gives his signs very low in his crouch to avoid the shadows.
To the right side for Palmeiro. Gets a funny hop, but stays with it. Makes the play to end the inning. An error in the inning. A man left, and now the Indians 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position tonight. Welcome back to Game 2. We're in the bottom of the 6th inning now with a game tied 2-2. Joe Buck, Bob Brenly, Tim McCarver. The Indians do not come away with a win here in Game 2, guys. They will look back at a night where they missed an awful lot of opportunities.
0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. They hit a couple balls hard. Some nice defense played behind the Baltimore pitchers, but you really have to take advantage of those opportunities against a strong team like the Orioles.
Rafael Palmeiro leads it off and takes a strike over the inside corner. And it's about time to start talking about Charles Nagy and the effort he's giving here tonight. Nasty pitch down and in. 1 ball, 1 strike. Nagy has allowed 2 runs on 5 hits. Allowed that home run to Ripken back in the 2nd.
Palmeiro dancing out of the way of the breaking ball. You wonder how much longer Mike Hargrove and Mark Wiley are going to go with Nagy. That'll get somebody up in all probability.
Leadoff base hit into right off the bat of Palmeiro. He's 2 for 3. And the 6th hit of the night for the Orioles. It'll bring in B.J. Surhoff. Showed you earlier a home run that Brady Anderson hit against Nagy in in Game 1 of the division series last year. Well, Surhoff got him also.
B.J. Surhoff has swung at the first pitch both at bats in the ball game tonight. We've mentioned it a couple of times already. A notorious first ball hitter. Nagy's got to be careful with this first pitch right here.
And sure enough, Mike Jackson, it looks like Mike Jackson is warming up for the Cleveland Indians. He just got up. Nagy looking for the ground ball here.
And a strike to Surhoff, 0-1. Jeff Juden, the big right-hander, getting ready for the Indians out in their bullpen.
Nagy chose to start Surhoff with a backdoor breaking ball this time. Starting with the sinker in his first two at-bats. Surhoff was hacking.
1 ball, 1 strike. Bottom of the 6th inning, 2-2 game. Another strike to Surhoff, 1-2.
And another backdoor breaking ball. The slider starts off the outside corner and just nips the corner. Alomar was set up inside. I think they wanted to throw the same slider that they've been throwing to Rafael Palmeiro, the one that starts on the inside corner, breaks down and in. But they sneak it in the back door nonetheless.
Left-hander Alvin Moorman now joins Juden out in the Indians bullpen as Surhoff takes low, 2-2. Up to 90 pitches for Charles Nagy. Could not get through 4 innings in his first start this postseason. To the first baseman, Seitzer. Out at second, and that's the only play. The force out 3-6.
Bob, you mentioned the 2 first ball fastballs that Surhoff swung at the first 2 times up. Well, Nagy with the breaking ball for a strike. He misses inside. One curve after another. Finally taps out to Kevin Seitzer. That's a big out for Charles Nagy.
Now Ripken, who went deep his first time to tie this game with a 2-run shot in the second. 1 on, 1 out. And a strike over the inside corner to Ripken. Bad back and all. Ripken hitting .429 as he digs in against Nagy here in the 6th.
Cal Ripken moving those fingers on the bat. A lot of hitters try to do that to relax the hands. Almost like a piccolo player with that bat of his.
Big swing, strike 2.
That's a location that Ripken likes, but Nagy takes enough off this slider that the change of speed gets Ripken way out in front of the pitch. He took a little bit off that slider, made it break just a little bit bigger.
Now the 1-2 with 1 on, 1 out. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Baines is in the on-deck circle.
Sometimes the slower breaking balls are unintentional. A lot of times the pitcher will grip it too tightly and throw the softer breaking ball. The looser the grip, the harder the breaking ball, generally speaking.
Through the left side for a hit. Surhoff will take the turn, but hold. And it's first and second, 1 out here in the 6th inning for the Orioles.
Fastball up in the middle of the plate. Ripken hits the top part of the ball and grounds it through the left side. That pitch was down and in earlier in the ball game. He golfed it out of here. That one was up a little bit. He was able to get on it, hit the top half of the ball, sneak it through that left side.
Now Baines with 2 on, 1 out. Even with the left-hander Mormon out in the Indian bullpen, they stick with Nagy to deal with Harold Baines. Vizquel playing around back at second base with Surhoff, the runner. Two on, 1 out, and ball 1 to Harold Baines.
Sometimes as a hitter, if you've had a good approach the time before, you can eliminate that particular pitch. Sometimes. Harold Baines, the last time up, hit a sinker to left field. Ball low and away, and sure enough, Nagy starts him off with a breaking ball.
1 ball, 1 strike to a guy that I called earlier one of the best designated hitters ever, and the numbers would back it up. Second most games as a DH, second in hits, second in home runs, second in runs batted in with just under 800. Reacquired by the Orioles this season from the White Sox. 2 on, 1 out. 2 balls, 1 strike. The 100th pitch of the night coming here from Charles Nagy. To the right side for Fernandez. The only play is at first. That's the second out of the inning, but the runners advance to second and third. And a chance for Hoyles. An opportunity where really each side has struggled tonight. The Orioles 2 out of 13 with runners in scoring position in this series. And tonight they've left 4 runners on now. A chance to leave 6 if Nagy can get around it. And the Indians tonight 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position. Runners on at second and third, 2 out. Ball 1 from Nagy.
Nagy going more to the slider here in the latter part of the ball game, trying to stay away from the strength of the hitters.
Nearly clipped Hoyles, 2-0.
Hoyles a little slow getting up there. He's had that knee problem, and when you lock those legs out like that to get out of the way of that inside pitch, occasionally you'll hyperextend the knee. It seems to be all right, though.
He had a right medial collateral sprain back in the middle of June, colliding with FP San Angelo of the Montreal Expos.
Second and third, 2 out, 2 balls, no strikes, and over the outside corner to Hoyles, 2-1. Nagy certainly does not have to give in to Hoyles with Bordick on deck.
Well, that was a nasty pitch right there. The breaking ball and a beauty. It looks more like an 0-2 pitch than a 2-0 curve.
Second and third, 2 out, tie game, 6th inning. Two and two.
Throw 2 breaking balls behind in the count on a 2-0, 2-1 count. Generally speaking, it's good policy to follow it up with a fastball. You've implanted that curveball in the hitter's mind.
2-2 to Hoyles. Fastball up and in. 3-2.
And that's exactly what he did, more than likely setting up this next pitch, which I would guess would be another slider on the outside corner.
Breaking ball.
Laying him up with a fastball inside to get him off that outside pitch, and now go back away again.
2-2 game in the 6th. 3-2 to Hoyles. He walked him on that pitch low and away to set it up for Bordick.
Get a look at how Nagy goes after Chris Hoyles here. Starts him with a slider low and away off the plate. Fastball way inside. He's behind 2-0 and throws a perfect slider for a strike. Another one for a foul ball. Stand him up with a 2-2 pitch and try to get him to chase a slider low and away, but Hoyles lays off and takes the walk.
Now Bordick with the bases loaded, 2 out. Driven in 4 in this postseason. 0 for 2 tonight. A borderline pitch for strike 1.
That was a good job by Sandy Alomar keeping the glove there. Watch him hold it. And he gets the call.
One ball, one strike. Bordick, who hit only .236 during the regular season, hit about .330 the final month of 1997. Had a great division series against the Mariners. Two balls and a strike from Nagy.
Boy, just a steady diet of breaking balls this inning to almost every hitter. I don't think Nagy's thrown a fastball for a strike in this inning. He's used the fastball to set up the slider low and away.
Three and one. And now the runners will go with a full count. 2-2 game, 6th inning. Bases loaded for Bordick. Into right field, a hit. Surhoff scores. It gets past Ramirez in right. Ripken scores, and they hold Hoyles at third. It's a 2-run Oriole lead.
Sam Perlazzo expected Manny Ramirez to come home with the ball. That's why he held Hoyles at third base. Sam Perlazzo, the third base coach. The ball gets by Ramirez. It'll be an error allowing Bordick to go to second base. Skipping by Ramirez, who is very suspect in right field. Chris Hoyles is not a fast runner. He's rounded second. Normally, you try to score him with 2 outs. Watch Ramirez. The throw goes to second base. Sam Palazzo holding Hoyles up at third. A 2-run score, and the Orioles take the lead.
And now with runners at second and third, 2 out in the inning, back to the top of the lineup is Freddie Anderson. And Nagy is finished here in the 6th. A pitching change for Cleveland here in the 6th inning. Alvin Mormon takes over. It's now a 4-2 Oriole lead. Bottom of the 6th inning, and the Orioles now have a 2-run lead. Their first lead of the night from high above. Our shots are from the Goodyear Blimp, Stars and Stripes. Our thanks to Captain Ash and the entire crew for the overhead coverage of tonight's telecast. Down below here at Oriole Park at Camden Yards, the crowd is into it, and Charles Nagy is out of it.
He was really walking a tightrope, especially here in the 6th inning. The walk to Chris Hoyles to get to Mike Bordick. Fell behind to the full count to Bordick, threw a fastball out over the plate. The error by Manny Ramirez in right field. Orioles find themselves with a 2-run lead.
Yeah, that at bat to Mike Bordick, the pitching. I think Nagy put himself in a position where he had to throw a predictable pitch, a high fastball. You can't throw the breaking ball there. Again, the advantage is staying ahead. as opposed to the detriment of falling behind.
So Nagy is finished. Alvin Mormon tries to keep it just a 2-run inning and a 2-run game. 4-2 Orioles. Brady Anderson walks in 0 for 2 with a walk. A strike to Anderson.
Scouting report on Brady Anderson. He loves the first pitch fastball, even though he hit a breaking ball out of the ballpark last night. Throwing breaking pitches on fastball counts. They call that pitching a guy backwards. Throwing breaking balls when he's looking fastball, throwing fastballs when he's looking for a breaking ball.
Over the outside corner for strike 2.
First pitch was a curveball to Anderson. This looked like a tight slider to Brady. Two good pitches from Alvin Mormon, and you can see the slider spin breaking parallel to the ground. A lot quicker than the curveball.
Second and third, 2 out. And the pop-up should end the inning. Vizquel wants it and has it. The Orioles have their first lead of the night. They get 2 in the 6th inning. Back for the 7th after this from your local Fox station. Into the 7th inning. Back to work is Kamenecki. This is his game now. He is the pitcher of record for the Orioles. He's worked 2 shutout innings. Came in the 5th. Worked through the 6th. Got around a walk. Has helped. Friends out the bullpen. Benitez and Orozco getting ready as Vizquel looks at a strike to start the 7th. Vizquel was hit by a pitch, scored a run in the 1st, fly to left in the 2nd, walked, was involved in the double play in the 4th. 1-1 from Kamenecki. Bat of Vizquel. So far so good for Kamenecki, who has not pitched in 15 days. Last worked September 24th.
Well, the Indians need to get something going offensively if they're going to get back in this game, and they need to do it right now. Davey Johnson, with that strong, balanced bullpen down there, has been able to do this year what the Yankees were able to do last year. Shorten the ball game.
1-2 to Vizquel. And he stays alive as Hoyles could not hang on.
The 2 left-handers, and Arthur Rhodes and Jesse Orozco down there. Benitez from the right side, and of course Randy Myers, the closer, as Chris Hoyle takes one right on the button.
Matter of fact, that's who looks like is warming up for the Orioles. Armando Benitez. At least from here, it appears like Benitez.
Inside corner, 1 away to start the 7th. And the first strikeout for Kamenecki.
It looks like they catch Omar Vizquel guessing with 2 strikes. He fakes the bunt, takes a strike on the first pitch, breaking ball down. Fouls off a pretty good pitch to hit. Fouls off another good pitch to hit. And gets frozen on the inside fastball.
Here's Manny Ramirez hitting only 148. This postseason did hit a 2-run home run back in the 1st. Gets one off the end of the bat here for Brady Anderson. 2 out.
I think the key play in this game for the Indians, as you look at Jesse Orozco and Armando Benitez, was when Ramirez was up the last time with runners on at 1st and 3rd and 1 out. Jimmy Key pitching. He was jammed on the pitch. And Cal Ripken brilliantly turning the double play. Roberto Alomar to get out of it. I think that's the defensive play of the game so far.
Two out, nobody aboard for the Indians as Matt Williams walks in 1 for 3. Singled and stole a base back in the first inning. Struck out and fouled out since then. We came in talking about the middle three in this Indians lineup. Ramirez, Williams, and Justice combined for 3 hits tonight, including that 2-run home run by Ramirez back in the first. Had him played perfectly. Alomar up the middle, takes care of Williams, and the Indians go in order in the 7th. Time to stretch here in Baltimore. Orioles come to bat leading by 2. Welcome back to Baltimore into the bottom of the 7th inning. Orioles come to bat leading by 2, and Scott Kamenicki popped up in this game and worked 3 shutout innings. The 5th, 6th, and 7th, the only man to reach a 1-out walk to Seitzer in the 6th inning. During that time, his teammates had given him a 2-run lead, and here's Mormon working to Roberto Alomar. And a little look out at Mormon from Alomar on that pitch up and in.
Well, Mormon showed that great breaking ball last inning, and just to make sure that Robbie Alomar doesn't have any thoughts about leaning out there and hitting a first pitch breaking ball, he stands him up with a pretty good heater.
Alomar, Davis, and Palmeiro. 2-0. Two balls and a strike on Roberto.
Not a lot of movement on that fastball from Mormon. Very much a straight pitch after all the nasty sinkers we've seen throughout these 2 ball games here in Baltimore. Mormon comes in throwing a relatively straight fastball. Did reach 90 miles an hour on that last pitch, but very little movement.
91 from Mormon and the 2-2 count.
And a real good rip that time by Roberto Alomar.
Yeah, the swings of the hitters often dictate how straight the pitch is. Pitch has a lot of movement. You don't see that type of swing that Alomar just took.
Pop up back behind home plate and out of play. Keep it 2-2. The Oriole box score. The damage done really in the middle of the lineup, which we came in talking about for Cleveland. Ripken a home run. He's driven home a couple with that 2-run shot. Palmeiro a couple of hits. And then Bordick. The bases loaded, 2 out, 2-run single. Last inning in the 6th. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Alomar. Still 2-2.
Mormon with that very slow, deliberate delivery to home plate. Makes that fastball appear to be a little faster than it really is, but Alomar's had some pretty good hacks right here on this 2-2 count.
To the right side, a fair ball taken in by Seitzer, and that's the first out here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Well, right now for a Miller Lite game break, we take you back to 1996 ALCS Game 1. Derek Jeter takes Armando Benitez to deep right. Tony Tarasco leaps. But young fan Jeffrey Mayer, or as he could be referred to here in Baltimore, El Nino, takes it away from Tony Tarasco. And that home run, which is how it was ruled, tied that game at 4. The Yankees would win it in 11 innings on a Bernie Williams homer, 5-4. Mormon does his job. He's gone here in the 7th inning. Back to the bullpen and Jeff Juden for Cleveland. Bottom of the 7th inning here in Baltimore with the Orioles batting up 1-0 and up 2 runs here in Game 2. This week it's a Fox NFL Sunday doubleheader. It all starts with America's most watched pregame show, and catch an NFC Central Division battle as the Packers take on the Bears, followed by the Rams and the 49ers, plus other regional action. Coverage begins at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, right here on Fox. Coming up on 11 o'clock in the East, it's time for a game summary. Joe Buck, Bob Brenly, Tim McCarver with you. Jimmy Key would last only 4 innings tonight, hit 3 batters in the first inning. But after the Indians got 2 on a home run by Ramirez, they left the bases loaded and missed a big chance back in the first inning. Cal Ripken tied the game with a 2-run shot in the second, his first postseason home run his entire career. And then Bordick broke open a 2-2 game with a 2-out, 2-run single to right with the bases loaded the 6th inning. And now the Indians go to their 3rd pitcher of the night, right-hander Jeff Juden.
Juden off to a great start this year with the Montreal Expos as late as July 6th. He was 11-2 after a complete game victory over the Atlanta Braves and did not win another game the rest of the summer, including an 0-1 record with the Indians. Hard thrower, very erratic, has a tendency to lose that strike zone from time to time.
And likes to march to the beat of a different drum. Witness the number 7 on his uniform back as he takes over here in inning number 7. 1 out, nobody on. Mormon 2/3 of an inning. He was perfect. Davis pops it up. Playable for Seitzer. He makes it. 2 gone. 2 out here in the bottom of the 7th inning.
Big league pop-up right here. Kevin Seitzer drifting over in foul territory to make the play. That's going to be all for number 7. I can't remember a major league pitcher with a single digit on his uniform.
If I'm not mistaken, Atlee Hammaker, former pitcher with the San Francisco Giants, wore number 7 for a very short period of time before going to double digits.
Mr. Single Digit heads to the showers. Paul Ossenmacher will take over with Palmeiro coming up. 3rd pitcher of the inning, 4-2 Baltimore. Bottom of the 7th inning, 3rd pitcher of the inning, 4th of the night for the Cleveland Indians. We remind you that tomorrow on NBC it's Game 3 of the National League Championship Series. John Smoltz and the Braves look to take a series lead against the Marlins. Coverage begins tomorrow at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. That's on NBC. Our Game 3 will be on Saturday afternoon here on Fox back in Cleveland as Paul Ossenmacher, who really had a terrific season, takes over for the Indians here in the 7th.
And if you folks did not hear, Alex Fernandez lost not only for the rest of the playoffs for the Marlins, but possibly for next year with a torn rotator cuff. Boy. It was believed to have happened in the game that he started yesterday in Atlanta. He was the losing pitcher and perhaps lost more than the game.
Ossenmacher takes over to work to Rafael Palmeiro, who's 2 for 3. Fifth game of the postseason for Ossenmacher, and strike 1. Nothing in 2 and a blink on Palmeiro.
2 big slurvy breaking balls from Paul Ossenmacher. That's his bread and butter pitch. Probably going to stick with it until Palmeiro shows he can hit it, or until he strikes him out, one or the other. Oh. I guess not.
That was a taste test right there. Right around the taste buds to straighten Palmeiro up, and then he'll go back outside, one would assume, with a breaking ball. That pitch designed to make the breaking ball better.
Classic at bat Classic work by Ossenmacher. A 1-2-3 inning with 3 different hurlers in the 7th. 8th inning rolls around, 4-2 Baltimore. Three shutout innings for Kamenicki, and he gives way to Armando Benitez here in the 8th.
First appearance of the ALCS, his 4th postseason appearance. Records for long relievers in particular, relatively insignificant. However, he did have 9 saves. It's quite an accomplishment when you're working with a guy who had 45 saves on the season in Randy Myers.
Well, evidently there's something wrong with David Justice. Due to lead off here in the 8th inning is Jeff Branson. Will come off the bench for the Indians and hit for Justice. We'll try to get word on exactly what is wrong with David. 97 miles per hour from Benitez. Strike 1. Branson said, wait a minute.
One would assume that David Justice's leg has stiffened up. He was hit by Jimmy Key with a fastball his first time up tonight. Indians scoring 2 times in the 1st inning.
We're watching a guy like Benitez throw 97-mile-an-hour straight gas after seeing all the sinkers we've seen in this series. It looks like the ball is defying gravity. It's like it's going to float away.
Breaking ball for strike 2 on Branson. First at bat of the postseason for Branson. Set up at a ball and 2 strikes. 2-2 to a guy who worked the state of Ohio. He started the year in Cincinnati. He ended in Cleveland. Ripped foul. Full count as Benitez makes it interesting now after getting out in front 1-2 on Branson. Indians down by 2 here in the 8th inning of game 2. One away here in the 8th.
So hard to sit on the bench for 7 innings and then come in and face a 97-mile-an-hour high fastball. Probably out of the strike zone, but tough to lay off of.
Get word on David Justice, a strained left shoulder, which he suffered early in this game and finally could not continue. That's why Branson hit. And down by 2 here in the 8th inning. 1 out, nobody on. They turn to Sandy Alomar.
I think I'd have to make him throw a strike right here. He's been wild high. The 2 fastballs that Branson swung at were balls up around the letters. Trailing by 2. You still have Jim Thome on the bench. Their power guy.
Like he was tanking, and that pitch called ball 3. The crowd wanting to know where it was. 3-0.
It's another advantage of taking a pitch. Perhaps you'll get the call, and Alomar got it.
1 out, nobody on, and a strike. 3-1.
Had a brief look there at Jim Thome with the helmet on the Cleveland bench. Tony Fernandez would be the next hitter, followed by Kevin Seitzer.
Alomar tanking all the way, draws a 1-out walk.
That's a great at-bat by Sandy Alomar. You don't see that too often anymore. Fastballs all the way. One is low, one is high. Your guess is as good as mine on that one. And this one is high. That 2-0 pitch, I still don't know where that pitch was.
Too hard. 1 on, 1 out for Tony Fernandez. The sights are due up after Fernandez, but remember, Tomey is lurking over on that Indians bench.
I think this is a good move by Mike Hartgrove, allowing Fernandez to hit right now, and then if Tony gets on, then you bring in Tomey.
And Davy Johnson, anticipating that, has Jesse Orozco back up in the bullpen again, a left-hander.
1 on, 1 out. Just one final note about Justice and that strained left shoulder. It was a reconstruction of his right shoulder last year. But he strained the left shoulder here early in this second game of this ALCS. Strike 1 on Fernandez. This back in the first inning, and where we led to believe the injury occurred as he jammed that left arm trying to get back into second base, was called safe on that play. A pickoff attempt by Jimmy Key. Fernandez went, strike 2.
And once again, a pitch out of the strike zone from Benitez, that high fastball. It looks so good as a hitter when it comes up to the plate, but because of that velocity and the location up around the letters, it's tough to catch up to.
One and 2. Roscoe getting ready, you would think, as Bob mentioned. An eye on Tomey over on the Indians bench. 1 on, 1 out here for Cleveland, down by 2 in the 8th. Two out.
Tony Fernandez with a look of disbelief after swinging through this 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Boy, there are some times when you see that pitch coming up to the plate and you know from your swing that you should make contact with the ball, and when you don't, it surprises the living daylights out of you. You see Tony Fernandez can't believe he missed that pitch.
He is throwing peas, but there is a pea sheller on deck, and that's Jim Tomey. And for that reason, one would assume that Davy Johnson will go to Jesse Orozco. Jesse Orozco against Tomey for his career is 1 for 13. Certainly the ideal situation for Orozco. Davy Johnson waiting until he's announced. Of course, Benitez is throwing so hard, but Tomey a good fastball hitter, and as that graphic shows, he has yet to get a hit in Camden Yards this year. Davy's going to leave him in.
Straight on the infield, straight away on the infield, and a bit to pull in the outfield for Tomey, and they are deep.
Only way you could be deeper as an outfielder for the Orioles is to buy a ticket.
Tying run at the plate. Tomey off the bench, takes high for ball 1.
Scouting report on Jim Tomey. Obviously a premier long ball hitter in the majors. Very quick on the inside pitch, partly because of that open approach he has with the open stance. He likes the high fastball, but he will chase higher than high if you can get ahead of him. Go right up the ladder.
4-2 Orioles in the 8th inning. Are you surprised at all that it's not Orozco on the mound?
I think the way Benitez is throwing is the reason that Davy Johnson is leaving him in the game. If this were his second or third inning of work, I think Orozco would be in there.
I personally am very surprised. I mean, Davy Johnson's had that well-balanced bullpen. He's used it very effectively all year long. This would seem to be a Jesse Orozco situation.
A high strike. 1-1.
That is a strike. It's rarely called a strike anymore.
Tomey talks it over the home plate umpire, Jim Joyce, as he gets back in, and now Joyce rips off his mask and looks into the Indians' dugout. One ball, one strike. 1 on, 2 out. 2-1.
I think you do Tomey a favor by throwing that slider. This slider misses low, but the way Benitez is throwing, you remember the scouting reports, you can go up the ladder with Tomey. You don't go up the ladder with sliders. You do it with fastball.
Tying run at the plate. Tomey unloads, and that's strike 2.
A little bit tardy on that high fastball. Good high fastball hitter. He got a pitch he was looking for. Still couldn't catch up to it. Big swings from Jim Tomey.
Saw the graphic when Tomey was announced 0 for 19 at Camden Yards this season.
A long conversation on the mound. They want to make sure they're on the same page here, exactly what they're going to try to do with Jim Tomey. Saw the scouting report a minute ago. The book on him is you can go up the ladder with another high fastball up out of the strike zone, get him to chase.
I think you're in a situation where you can't get beat with anything but your best. And he's shown the reason he's in there is to throw the fastball. That's his best pitch right now.
Full count.
And you can see Hoyles moving out on the outside corner that time. Benitez is not the kind of a pitcher that's going to throw to spots very often. He's going to rear back and throw it down the middle with everything he's got. Let the ball take off up high in the zone. Hope to get a hitter to chase.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Alomar takes off, and Tomey did not go. That's the second walk of the inning, and the tying runs are on here in the 8th inning for Cleveland.
Joe Torre, the manager of the Yankees, is amazed at Jim Tomey, how he can be so aggressive and yet not go around. That was very, very close, and the Orioles did not get the call.
Now 2 on, 2 out, and the number 9 hitter, Marquise Grissom. 2 hits tonight and over 300 for this postseason. Notoriously a dangerous hitter in October. Tying runs are on, and a strike from Benitez. The Indians have their chance here in the 8th. 1-1.
With the Orioles playing their outfielders so deep, with the exception of Surhoff in left, he's relatively shallow compared to Anderson in center and Davis in right. Unless it's a very hard-hit ball right at one of the outfielders, Alomar should be able to score easily from second base.
They're in a prevent defense. They're not worried about Alomar. They're worried about Tomey scoring. He represents the tying run.
Into left center field. Deep left center field. Trapped. Wall. Gone. A 3-run home run for Marquise Grissom. And a 5-4 Indian lead in the 8th. 2 walks in the inning, and bang from Grissom.
I had visions of Jim Leyritz hitting against Mark Wohlers of last year's World Series. A 3-run home run in Atlanta to tie it for the Yankees against the Braves on a slider was not his best pitch, nor is Benitez's slider his best pitch. And Marquise Grissom catches up with it and puts the Indians ahead. Unbelievable.
But Grissom hit that ball to the deepest part of the ballpark here, just to the left of the 410 mark in left center field. Crushed it. Woo!
His first home run of the 1997 postseason. Remember, the Indians struggle all night with runners in scoring position, 0 for 8. And remember what happened just before the 3-run home run hit by Grissom on that check swing by Thome. Marquise Grissom with the biggest swing of the night, and now Bip Roberts takes the ball outside.
And the crowd here at Camden Yards is just stunned.
Hitless tonight is Bip Roberts. 2-0 from Benitez. Kamenicki was rolling along. They went to Benitez in the 8th. They didn't go to Orozco to deal with Thome. They stick with Benitez. He walks Thome, gives up the home run to Grissom. 2-1 on Bip Roberts. That's Grissom getting back to the Indian dugout, and the frustration on the part of Davy Johnson and the Orioles after that swing by one of the better October hitters over the past 5-6 years. 2 out, nobody on, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Bip Roberts ends the inning, but not before major damage. Benitez struck out the side in the 8th inning, but 2 walks and 1 swing by Marquise Grissom. With that, the Indians regain the lead, 5-4 in the 8th.
The 1997 American League Championship Series on Fox is brought to you by Gillette Sensor Excel and the Gillette Series. Gillette, the best a man can get. By new Gatorade Frost Thirst Quencher. You don't have to burn up. Gatorade Frost, too cool. By Aflac, insuring over 40 million people worldwide. And by Mazda. Come see what happens when a car company has more engineers and fewer accountants.
Welcome back to Oriole Park at Camden Yards as we get into the bottom of the 8th inning. Defensive change as Brian Giles takes over in left field for Bip Roberts. Jim Thome obviously stays in the game and is now at first base for the Indians. And Hasenmacher goes back to work with Surhoff, Ripken, and Baines coming up. At the end of tonight's game, Tim Bob and I will select the Chevy Truck Player of the Game. And Marquise Grissom has just vaulted to the top of the list. A 3-run home run with 2 out in the top of this 8th inning. And the Indians have regained the lead. It's 5-4 in the 8th. Surhoff tonight 1 for 3. And obviously doesn't mind facing Paul Hasenmacher. 2-0.
Well, much like hitting a pause button on a CD, Mike Jackson had thrown, gotten loose, and was just standing on the mound waiting to see what happened as this inning progresses. Surhoff, a left-handed hitter, followed by Ripken, a right-handed hitter, and then Harold Baines, another lefty. Jackson will work along with the inning. It looks like he's going to come into the ball game to face Ripken. He can be ready in a couple pitches. If it looks like he won't be used till Hoyles, he'll slow down a little bit and be ready for him.
3-0 on Surhoff. and a leadoff walk to start the bottom of the 8th. Tying run is on for Baltimore here in the 8th inning. Mike Hargrove sticks with Ossenmacher because of the lefty coming up, and he walks him. And here's Ripken.
Now, the one thing about the breaking ball for Paul Ossenmacher, to a guy like Cal Ripken, it breaks down into his hot zone. That ball's down and in. So if Ossenmacher faces Ripken, one would think he would stay with his fastball. Fastball away. We'll see.
Tying run at first with nobody out of the 8th. 5-4 Indians. And over the inside corner for strike one.
Remember the home run that Cal hit earlier in the game, a ball down and in off Charles Nagy. That hot zone, and for Ossenmacher to be effective, that's where he has to throw the breaking ball. But the first pitch, a fastball, right down the pipe.
There's one down and in, 1 ball, 1 strike. We are in the 8th inning here at Camden Yards. Joe Buck, Bob Brenly, Tim McCarver. A 2-out, 3-run home run by Marquise Grissom in the top of this 8th inning. Brought out the rally caps here with the Oriole fans. A strike to Ripken, 1-2.
In the bottom of the 8th inning of a 1-run ball game, and we haven't even broached the thought of Cal Ripken putting down a sacrifice bunt. That's just really not part of Davey Johnson's offense with this Orioles team. Certain hitters, perhaps Mike Bordick, maybe even Chris Hoyles at the plate, you may think about it.
Ripken is gone to start the inning and now argues that he foul-tipped that ball. Rare is it to see Ripken get that hot about a call, but he does with a home plate umpire, Jim Joyce.
Alomar sits outside. The breaking ball goes inside. Nice play by Alomar to keep the ball out in front, preventing Surhoff from advancing. Cal Ripken thought he foul-tipped the ball. The ball hit the ground. Cal saying it's right off the end of the bat. Usually you can feel that when it is a foul ball, but obviously home plate umpire Jim Joyce did not agree.
Geronimo Baroa is announced as the pinch hitter here in the 8th inning. He will bat for Harold Baines, and with that, Ossenmacher will likely be lifted for Mike Jackson. Ossenmacher does his job. However, a leadoff walk here in the 8th inning to put the tying run on. 1 on, 1 out. Mike Jackson walking in from the Indians bullpen. He'll take over, trying to protect a 1-run lead here in Game 2 with the Indians trying to tie this series. We're in the bottom of the 8th inning here in Game 2 with the Indians out in front by a run. Don't forget, Saturday it's Game 3 of the American League Championship Series, as this scene will shift to Jacobs Field in Cleveland, where Mike Messina takes to the mound and leads the Orioles against Oral Hershiser, the Indians. Our coverage begins live at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific, right here on Fox on Saturday. Ossenmacher is finished here in the 8th inning, and the Indians turn it over to right-hander Mike Jackson. Geronimo Baroa at the plate, batting for Harold Baines, and a check on Surhoff.
Jackson's numbers on the season: almost a strikeout per inning, only 59 base hits and 75 innings pitched.
So good in that division series against the Yankees.
And Mike has had a chance to rest for a couple of days, too, with that wicked slider. First pitch of fastball, he blew it right by Baroa.
Baroa laid off, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Jackson can throw that fastball in the 90s. He throws a four-seamer that'll stay straight and a two-seamer that will sink. That late breaking slider Tim was talking about, one of the best in all of baseball. And an occasional changeup, and he really works both sides of the plate with all of his pitches.
That stayed inside, 2-1.
That was a slider that starts at the hitter, breaks across the inside part of the plate. He does not get the call here. Most right-handed hitters are programmed when they see slider rotation, it's a pitch that's usually away from them, moving away.
That's moving away into right. Manny Ramirez over to get it. 2 out here in the 8th inning, and back to first is Serhal. Now Hoyles. Did hit a home run in the division series against Seattle. This Indians bullpen, while it did struggle at times during the regular season, so far in the postseason has really stepped up and done the job for Mike Hargrove and those starters.
Well, the bullpen for the Indians picked it up at the right time from the mid-August, from right around mid-August to the end of the season. They really matured as a unit.
Hoyles hit 12 home runs during the regular season. Tying run at first with 2 out here in the 8th. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Gets the call on that high slider, but that's not a location you want to throw that pitch. Normally Jackson works the 2 corners, either right at the batter, break it across the inside corner, or throw it on the outside corner, breaking away. He hangs that one.
Marquise Grissom loves that pitch.
1 on, 2 out. 2 balls and a strike on Hoyles.
About in that area where Grissom homered off Benitez. On that slider, that part of the plate.
Got away with another one.
That one backed up a little more than the other one, though. The other one was flat. That one had a little giddy up backwards.
See where Alomar set up. The pitch is back to the inside part of the plate. Woo! Dangerous pitch.
Down 2-2 on Chris Hoyles. 0 for 2 tonight. Tying run at first. Inning over as Jackson comes in and shuts the door on the 8th inning, and the Indians are now 3 outs away from tying this series at 1. We go to the 9th. Indians lead by 1. We move to the 9th inning. The Indians, at least defensively, 3 outs away from tying this series at 1 game apiece. They bat here in the top of the 9th inning against the new pitcher, right-hander Alan Mills.
As you see from those numbers, Alan Mills occasionally has trouble finding the strike zone. More walks than strikeouts on the season, almost a walk an inning.
Indians have a chance here in the 9th inning with Vizquel, Ramirez, and Williams, who add to their 1-run 9th inning lead. Vizquel is 0 for 2. He's been hit by a pitch, scored a run, walked, and was involved in a double play back in the 4th. 5-4 Cleveland, game 2. Strike 1 on Vizquel. Ball, 1 strike.
That was a splitter there. Alan Mills, back in April, had a collision with Lenny Webster during batting practice. Pinched a nerve in his left shoulder. Take another look at the splitter going down. Missed 2 months of the season. That's a nasty little tight slider right there.
And strike 2.
That rotation, little dot on the ball as it comes into home plate, spins almost like a football.
Vizquel is gone to start the 9th inning. And with 1 out, that'll bring in Manny Ramirez.
Joe Becker, a pitching coach for the Dodgers, the Cubs, and the Cardinals back in the 60s, used to say if the slider is tight enough, it has the dime spin. If it's loosely thrown and not effective, it has a quarter spin. But with that slider, you could almost see that tight rotation on it. You could put a dime on the end of it.
Manny Ramirez with 1 out. 94 miles per hour from Mills and strike 1. Talk about what could be an enormous victory. Obviously, any win is big in a postseason series, but where the Indians were down by a couple, facing this good bullpen, 2 out, they get the home run. Games 3, 4, and 5 will be back at Jacobs Field. We were a part of that atmosphere in the division series with New York. Really unlike any other atmosphere going these days. And the Orioles will know when they step foot on the field on Saturday afternoon that they have their hands full with the Indians and with that crowd at Jacobs Field.
So if you play the game the right way, good things happen. Remember that at bat by Sandy Alomar? He's taking 2-0. We thought the pitch was a strike, but it was called a ball. Then he's taken 3-1. So coaxing the walk out of Benitez set it up ultimately for Grissom after the walk to Tomey.
Sandy's been doing it in so many different ways for the Indians in 1997.
He really has.
And for the American League in the All-Star game. One out, nobody on here in the top of the 9th inning for Manny Ramirez. Set up at 1-2, now 2-2. Talk about Alomar and this dream season of sorts for the veteran catcher for Cleveland. Career high in average home runs, RBIs, doubles, the 30-game hitting streak right around the middle of the season, the All-Star game MVP, hitting that home run in his own home ballpark. And what he did in the division series, hitting over 300 with a couple of home runs. 2-2 to Ramirez, full count.
The huge home run against Mariano Rivera to tie it when the Indians were down to their last 4 outs. 2 out, nobody on in the bottom of the 8th inning, trailing 2-1.
Ramirez with 1 out, nobody on here in the 9th, trying to reach ahead of Matt Williams. A 1-out walk. By the way, in case you're wondering, the Orioles in the 9th inning at least have scheduled Mike Bordick to lead off. And then back to the top of the order, Anderson and Alomar, if anybody gets on Eric Davis. Here's Williams, 1 on, 1 out. Matt a hit and a stolen base his first time up, 1 for 4. Hershiser will get the ball in game 3 of this series. Strike 1 on Matt Williams.
And then young Jarrett Wright, who opened so many eyes, beating the Yankees twice. And then we assume that Chad O.J. will be the starter in Game 5 on Monday. If the Indians can win this one, of course, that guarantees a Game 5. There's Jarrett Wright. Mike Mussina will be pitching on Saturday afternoon against Hershiser.
Wright and Messina, two guys that are very responsible for these two teams being here in the ALCS. Messina hooking up with Randy Johnson of the Seattle Mariners. Jared Wright winning 2 games of the 3 wins for the Indians in the division series with the Yankees, including Game 5. 1 on, 1 out here for Matt Williams. 1-1. And this game has slowed to a crawl here in the 9th inning.
Bob, you pointed out that Mills, with about a walk an inning, that is a terrible ratio, and he's walked 1 this inning. It looks like he's all over the place.
The Orioles with a right-handed bench left, and we'll obviously see a right-hander on the mound in the bottom of this 9th inning. They have Mesa ready. 1 on, 1 out here. 1 ball, 1 strike on Williams. Said earlier, this 9th inning is slowed to a crawl. Look at Jose Mesa last night. He blew through a 2.5-hour game, 2 hours 33 minutes, the shortest ALCS game since Game 5 of 1985 between Kansas City and Toronto.
Danny Jackson and Jimmy Key started that game. Danny Jackson beat Jimmy Key in that game 2-0. Game lasting only 2 hours and 21 minutes.
You have a guy on the mound that was dominating the way Scott Erickson was with that sinker ball. He was just firing it over the plate and letting the Indians hitters do what they will. Work quick, throw strikes, change speed. Ray Miller's motto.
91 pitches through 8 innings last night.
Now Mills behind on the count to Williams, 2-1.
We've documented how strong the Baltimore bullpen has been this year. When leading after 8 innings, their record is 85-1. When trailing after 8 innings, however, they're 3-54. Not a team that's been able to come back a lot this year.
Now 3-1 on Matt Williams.
Matter of fact, the Orioles in the 9th inning scored the fewest runs of any inning throughout the course of the year.
That is really an odd statistic for a talented lineup like the Orioles have.
Got to look at the on-deck hitter. It's Branson, remember, instead of Justice, who left, straining his left shoulder back in the 1st inning. So they let Ramirez run a check on him over at first.
We said it earlier, with a power hitter up there and the count 3 balls and 1 strike. Manny Ramirez hit a home run in the 1st inning. Vizquel wasn't running. A lot of managers like to send runners in this count. I don't think with a power hitter up there, it's a good running situation.
Not going, and Williams pops up. Behind the plate for Hoyle. 2 out. And now Mills will work to Jeff Branson, who struck out to start that 3-run inning. Last inning, the 8th, that was capped. And that 2-out, 3-run home run hit by Marquise Grissom, who, by the way, has 3 hits tonight.
Our lemonade man right below us trying to stir things up again.
Branson with 1 on, 2 out.
Tough work for 9 innings. He looks exhausted.
He looks worn out.
Sweat marks on his cap.
Working on 3 days rest. 1 on, 2 out. And a ball now to Branson. A minor tremor.
There he goes. Kind of a mellow version here in the 9th inning. 1 on, 2 out, 1-0. The count on Branson. Manny Ramirez stole a total 2 bases during the regular season. And I think Ramirez and Palmeiro are getting a little tired of those throws to first, as is Roberto Alomar.
Well, you could see perhaps making a throw or two over there, burying your rhythm to home plate, but he's acting like Manny Ramirez is a Maury Wills over there.
1 ball, no strikes on Branson. One and one. Sandy Alomar would be next if Branson could keep this 9th inning alive for the Indians. Got a 1-out walk to Ramirez, but Williams fouled out. Two and one on Jeff Branson. Right now, the hero of this one for the Indians. Grissom, a 3-hit night, but no bigger swing than with 2 out in the 8th inning. With the Indians back out in front. 2 now on Branson.
And that foul ball hit Chris Hoiles in a bad spot in the catcher's mitt, either off the thumb or perhaps up near the tip of the fingers. We're going to look at it here. Branson swings underneath the ball and appeared to foul it. You can see Hoiles whip that glove off and shake that left hand. These are the kind of things the catcher has to put up with all season long. They don't go away anytime too soon either.
Go away in November. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 on, 2 out, 1-run lead for the Indians in the 9th. Two balls, 2 strikes. Branson strikes out. The put out from Hoiles 2-3, and that's the way we sail into the bottom of the 9th inning. Last chance for the Orioles. The Indians 3 outs away from evening this series at 1. From across the street here at Oriole Park at Camden Yards, part of the B&O warehouse. 3 chefs looking on as we move into the bottom of the 9th inning. The Indians carry a 1-run lead to the field, and this one over to Jose Mesa.
Well, Baltimore's going to try to cook something up against Jose Mesa. Power pitcher, fastball, slider, split. He'll sink that fastball from time to time, throw the 2-seamer, try to turn it over a little bit. Rams doing their part to try to get their team back in this ball game.
And instead of Bordick to start this 9th inning, it will be Jeffrey Hammonds. Before the action takes us away, we want to remind you that the senior coordinating producer of Major League Baseball on Fox and the producer of tonight's game, John Filippelli. Game directed by Bill Webb. The pregame coordinating producer, Scott Ackerson. Pregame produced by Gary Lang. The senior producer of Fox Sports is Bill Brown, Baltimore product. And the executive producers of Fox Sports are David Hill and Ed Gorin. Special thanks to Carol Langley, doing tremendous work as she always does. Kathy Hunt, Lance Garrett, Steve Horn, Barry Landis, and Derek Manning. Steve Horn assisting up here in the booth as Jeffrey Hammonds leads it off, batting for Bordick.
Jose Mesa to start the bottom of the ninth inning. 96 miles per hour, but ball one from the Cleveland right-hander. One and one on Hammond. Anderson and Alomar will follow here in the ninth. 2 balls and a strike.
The old 55-foot breaking ball right there from Mesa. Nice pick up by Sandy Alomar behind home plate.
Now 3-1. A leadoff walk with a 1-run lead.
That gives Baltimore probably their best base runner, base stealer, an opportunity. Leading things off here in the ninth inning. Hammond's 15 out of 16 in stolen base attempts during the regular season. Had a lot of leg problems throughout the year, but appears to be healthy. He was running at full strength against Seattle in the division series.
Problem with that Achilles heel, the only thing about being a pinch hitter, it's the first time he's been on base. And you can't, you wouldn't think he would be loose right now. We'll see. I don't think Davy Johnson will bunt with Brady Anderson. It's not Johnson's style, nor Anderson's.
Tying run is on here in the ninth inning. Ground ball to short, might be 2. 6-4, not in time. And the force out 6-4, 1 on, 1 out.
Tony Fernandez had too far to go. He was playing Brady Anderson to pull. And by the time he got there to complete the double play, he has to run to complete it. Running across the bag, he couldn't plan. Hard takeout slide by Hammond. Good job by Jeffrey.
And a good job by Brady Anderson of getting down the line, something he didn't seem to be able to do earlier on tonight. 1 on, 1 out. Now Alomar takes the ball. We've been showing you flashbacks from the 96 Division Series. This a home run by Roberto Alomar. Off Jose Mesa.
Looked like a slider down and in.
That was in the series clincher for the Orioles in that division round with Cleveland. A 4-3 victory. Peter Angelos, the owner here in Baltimore. 1 on, 1 out. 9th inning, 5-4 Cleveland. Over the inside corner for strike 2, and Alomar didn't like the call.
Now that was a wicked curveball right there from Mesa. Looked like it was above the knees and on the plate. Good call.
See that rotation over the top on that breaking ball?
Now the 1-2. Blown away for the second out here in the 9th inning, and it's going to be up to Eric Davis.
Good old country hardball right there. Rare back. Here comes my heater. See if you can hit it. Alomar was looking fastball, just couldn't catch up.
And now Eric Davis walks in, who after this game, as was reported by Chip Terry and Steve Lyons on our pregame show, will undergo another chemotherapy treatment tonight after this game. As this series goes back to Cleveland. Over the inside corner, for strike one to Eric Davis.
Talk about an inspiration to everybody. Here he is performing in this 10th series, the ALCS, and undergoing chemotherapy at the same time. Remarkable.
Nicely blocked by Sandy Alomar to keep the tying run out of scoring position, ball one.
Well, this is not an easy one to block either. Once again, Mesa really wild with the slider. Hangs on way too long, bounces it over in that batter's box. And you can never be sure when it hits over in that batter's box because there's been holes dug in there during the course of the game, and that ball will bounce erratically.
Tying run at first with 2 out. To the left side for Vizquel. The force out at second, ball game. Game 2 belongs to the Indians. Saved by Mesa. And this series is even at 1 game apiece as we head to Cleveland.
Extraordinary turn of events here in Baltimore. The 3-run homer by Marquis Grissom against Armando Benitez, and all the Indians wanted out of this 2-game mini-series here was 1 win, just 1. And they got it.
Marquis Grissom is tonight's Chevy Truck Player of the Game, and with that 2-out, 3-run home run puts Cleveland out in front. And then Mike Hargrove again getting great work out of his bullpen late in the regular season and here in the postseason. That is the swing that in essence won it for the Indians here in game 2. We remind you that Saturday is game 3 of the American League Championship Series, as this scene will shift to Jacobs Field, where Mike Messina takes the mound and leads the Orioles against Oral Hershiser and the Indians. Coverage begins live at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific here on Fox Saturday afternoon. So for Tim McCarver, Bob Brenly, Steve Lyons, Chip Carey, I'm Joe Buck saying so long from Baltimore, where the final score is 5-4 Cleveland. This series tied at 1 game apiece. Here's tonight's hero for the Indians. You've been watching Fox Sports coverage of Major League Baseball. Good night from Maryland.